Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, and getting better. My name is Ben Hansen, joined by the elusive Jeff Marchiafava.
That's me.
Got a picture of him, and they're moving at 60 frames a second. Ching, ching, ching. Joined by Kyle Hilliard.
Hello.
Let's see, Mustache King. Then we're also joined by Kelsey Lewin.
Oh, I can't wait to hear how you're going to describe me.
Let's see, the Queen of Blue Sky. I don't know. I don't have much to look at here. I'm looking at your lower third. Do you still?
Okay.
Do you post a lot on Blue Sky over there?
Sometimes I lead a life with less social media in it these days, and happier for it.
It's really the way to go. It's just lovely. Hey, on this very episode of the podcast, we're cramming in a lot. The four of us are here. We're happy to be here, but we're going to be swapping some folks around, and Leo and Haley are going to be joining us in the back half of the show to talk about some cool indie games like Arranger, Ete, Dungeons of Hinterberg, Marvel Rivals, I do believe. That's not an indie game, but you get the idea. And then community questions in the back half of the show. But before that rodeo travels into town, Jeffem, we're going to be talking about in the first half, Nintendo World Championships, NES Edition. And then it seems like this is the time. Everyone's got to do it. Shoot the flare in the sky. This is the time to talk about where are we at for our Game of the Year debates. What do we declare right now is our personal Game of the Year? I think it's kind of fun to try and get a read and a timestamp for this right now. And then we'll see how it all changes before we do the 210s, the big Game of the Year debate with everybody here at MinnMax, and see how much stuff shifts around. Like, Kyle, if you had to guess where everybody's at for their number one favorite game of the year, do you think it's going to shake up a lot before the end of the year? Do you think there's still enough humdingers out there that can rearrange this list?
Yes, because I feel like there wasn't anything earlier in the year that was like number one with a bullet.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean. Like there's lots of good stuff, and my number one is certainly from earlier in the year. But it wasn't one when I'm like over the moon. This is it. Nothing's going to change my mind. I don't feel that way about it.
Right. I'm feeling that way about Rebirth. I'll get mine out of the way. It's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I mean, never say never. There might be another game that comes along and blows my mind, but
finally he talks about it. Oh my god.
Sorry, everybody, but yeah, And then I was trying to run down the list, and it's like, okay, I know I need to go back and play more Like a Dragon. Like, I loved what I played of that game, obviously, and I just have not had time to go back, and it kills me that I haven't gone back to it yet. But Astro Duel 2 is also really high up there for me. It's like, I think those three are in my top three right now, and I'll see how it all shakes around. But Kyle, are you feeling super confident about your picks at this point?
I mean, today my number one is Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth.
Yeah.
That was the game I was most eager to like. I didn't want to put it down. Like I hit a point where I was like, there's no way I'm not seeing this to the end. I want to see what happens. It was like, I had played The Man Who Erased His Name as sort of an appetizer, but This was my first, like, let's dive in, let's go all in. And it was just so wonderful. It was just such a great time.
Yeah. I was thrown off a little bit by, it seemed like you were teasing, and I know you reviewed it at Game Informer, but Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess, seems like you love that a lot. Where it's like, oh, is this going to be Kyle's number one?
Yeah, I think when you guys brought it up the other week, you were not dismissive of it. You were like, yeah, it might end up on our top our 210s, maybe in the lower half.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, I don't know, man. The way I feel about it, I could see it like, I certainly feel like it's an upper 10. You know? I really love it.
Bubbler of, you might say.
Like that, Kunitsugami, and then the other, like, they might be my 2 and 3, maybe, is Lorelei and the Laser Eyes.
Right.
Are two games that I started this year without zero intention of like, I'm not going to finish these. I just want to check them out. And both of them, I was like, I love this. I'm seeing this to credits. And absolutely that happened. They were like the two big surprises for me so far this year, Lorelei and Kunitsugami.
Does Kunitsugami, like, so I have really enjoyed what I've played, but I'm still probably at like the 5 or 6 hour mark or something. I haven't really dove in much more since the last time we talked about it. Does it get even better from there? Like, is there, because again, I am enjoying it. I would like to finish it before the end of the year, but is there like a point somewhere in there where you're like, oh, this is even better now, and now I really want to finish this?
No, because the thing that the loop got me really quickly of like, you know, a strategy level and then upgrading your villages, a strategy level, upgrading your villages. And then those strategy levels actually change quite a bit, and they do mix it up. And there are like, even late in the game, I was like, oh, I haven't done anything like this yet. So it definitely like keeps your attention. but there wasn't like some twist near the end that I was like, oh, this is game of the year. Like I felt that way pretty early on.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a new class that you were like, oh, suddenly this is broken in a super fun way. And okay.
I did. One of the very late like maybe it might have been the last class you get is the class that I used exclusively for the final boss, and it completely changed my strategies, and it was fun. Like I basically made my whole village, quote unquote, this one class, and it was interesting and fun. And
That's
also
compelling to me. I don't know.
Yeah. And there's a music, one of the, I think the penultimate boss, Ben, its music is in my, like, when we do our wrap up music at the end of the year, I'm definitely going to share that track because I was like, this is insane. I love this.
Oh, okay. All right. That's compelling for sure. The great question, physicists are working on it right now at Princeton. The question is, what is Jeffum's game of the year right now at the end of July for 2024?
It's so easy.
Okay. All right. Hey,
If you know me at all.
Okay. Kyle, Kelsey, you want to take a stab at this one? I think I got it now. I was unsure until you said that.
Is it Balatro?
That was my guess. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Super Balatro.
Wow.
The 16-bit version?
That's the sequel.
I would play that. Yeah. Yeah. And it's been probably like a month or two since I've played any of it. I unlocked all the decks, I did all the difficulty levels, not all the difficulty levels for all the decks, but I played a ton of that game, and it just feels like one of those games that I could go back to any time, and I'm sure it will probably waver for a while, and it will take like 3 matches, like the night before we do our game of the year list. I'm like, oh yeah, this was my game of the year. Absolutely.
I support this so hard. This reminds me of fighting for Vampire Survivors, because it's the same kind of like brain itch thing where like I just cannot stop playing when I'm in the mood to be playing that game. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's in my top 3, if not, or at least my top 4 for the year. I think it belongs very high up on game of the year.
I'm starting to think that it's going to be super high up. So I had everybody else send in their picks right now for game of the year. Balatro is number 1 for 2 other people at MinnMax. Try and guess who it is.
Jacob?
Yes, Jacob has it at number 1. And then this other person surprised me. Maybe they didn't talk about it a lot on this podcast, but certainly...
Sarah?
No.
Okay. That would be
certainly on one of the 18 other podcasts they probably talked about
Janet.
it. Yeah, Janet. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Janet has Balatro and Jacob has Balatro. So that's going to be tough to top. Like, it's going to be interesting if...
Yeah,
3 people have it at number 1. That's pretty good. And I think none of the rest of us are like, no Balatro. Like, everyone loves this game.
Like, I had like one successful run in Balatro, and I was kind of like, okay, I'm good. Like I finished, but like I would not, and I liked it, but like it is, if anyone were to fight for it, I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I totally get it, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, it is, and like I'm such a sucker for both roguelikes and deck builders, and it's just like I'm so smitten that this like one indie, solo indie developer took these 2 genres that I know very well and I'm very used to, and like did something completely different with both of them when he put them together. It has been a real treasure for me this year.
When you say that out loud, I remember that I hate roguelikes and deck builders, and I love this game.
Yeah,
so
it's totally one of those types of games where don't dismiss it just because you don't like the genres.
Yeah.
Until you at least give it a try.
Kelsey, you're a mystery wrapped in an enigma inside of a vault. I love how much you love one game, so I'm hoping that it's your number 1 for this year. But is your number 1 Helldivers?
I am between that and Infinite Wealth and 1,000 Times Resist as my number 1, and I'm still trying to figure out what actually earns that top spot. But I do think, I mean, I'm with you. This is a super weird year for me because Infinite Wealth is a JRPG, but it's not like the typical JRPG that I'm normally screaming about for the top. And I have not had one of those this year. I mean, obviously, I love Persona 3, but I don't think Reload like changed my life more than just the original had, the original I would be if this was whatever year that came out in, 2007 or whatever, like sure, I'd be fighting for that, but it's not. This is a remake of it. So.
I mean, Text Edge Pass is bracing everybody for Metaphor. Like there's a chance Metaphor might be that.
That's true. That's a very good point. It could still be Metaphor. But yeah,
and do you have a Visions of Mana slot like spaced out on your calendar as well?
Yes, I do. I would be shocked if that's the number one spot, though.
We'll all respectfully play Visions of Mana, but if Visions of Mana is anybody's goatee, I will eat Jeffem's headphones on air.
Wow.
While he's wearing them.
Eat my own butt bet? Like,
yeah.
Do I need to like become a huge Visions of Mana supporter?
I need you guys to make more realistic threats here. Like,
yeah, you're right. No, we just
eat a sock or something. Like,
no, but wouldn't it be great content for MinnMax if like just we're doing some new show plus that I'm not on and Jeffem's on it? Then at a certain point, I just sneak in from the side of the frame and just start nibbling on his headphones.
My headphone cord starts pulling.
Yeah, I'm slurping it up like a big
little spaghetti noodle.
And then I don't stop there and I eat Jeffem. Okay, let's see. So that's let's see. Do you want to guess Haley's game of the year at this point?
Ooh,
tricky, right?
She has played literally everything.
DLC.
Mm-hmm. She's played every game released in 2024. Everyone's overwhelmed by the amount of games released on Steam, except for Haley. She plays and beats everything.
The Concord beta.
Interesting guess. We can ask her about it later. I don't think it's quite there. It's a game we've mentioned before. Kyle, you know it well.
Okay.
It's something multiplayer, I assume.
No.
Like something she's... Oh, it's not?
No.
Okay.
Can you like give a genre or something?
It's something that Kyle knows very well. It might be high up on his list. Might be extremely high.
There was no Zelda this
year. Is it Lorelei?
Year.
Lorelei and Laser?
No, it's a game a franchise that she got into recently. She blasted through this year like she does everything.
Wait, is it Infinite Wealth?
It's Infinite Wealth. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel very accomplished making her play.
Yeah.
Making her play the game before this. I feel kind of bad about that, but clearly it's paid off.
It works. Okay, we got Freaky Boy Leo hoping for attention out here with his weirdo picks. What do you think's his number one at this point?
Is he kind of like grandfathering in the finals?
He's grandfathering in the finals.
Yeah,
Yep. The final grandfather.
Which I'm frankly fine with because it released so late last year, ultimately, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a 2024 game.
I think so. The way we, the criteria is like it has to have a game-changing update this year. And I feel like, they've been updating the finals in a big way. I think that's pretty fair to say. Now, Sarah Pozorski, International Woman of Mystery. She had to think the most about this.
City building game she was talking about?
City Skylines 2?
Well, that one's an early access, right?
No,
the Manor Lords?
Yes, that one.
Interesting. Nope, it's not. Now, this one, fair, and I take her at her word, but I'm going to put 3,000 asterisks on her pick for the number one game of the year at this point.
Well, is it the one she's working on?
Fields of Mystria is Sarah's number one game. Which, again, to be fair to Sarah, I just got drinks with her on Monday and had a very off-the-record conversation about what she thinks about that game. And she's like, oh, I genuinely love it. I genuinely think it's a great, farming sim.
I mean, it is like the kind of game she is normally into. Like, it's not like a out of left field kind of thing.
Right. But it's going to be an interesting one to talk about for 210s and the rest of us. We'll have asterisks.
We'll all try to play
it. Not to get ahead of it, but I think it's disqualified fully. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, you can tell Sarah that and it'll be a great time. Okay, so I think that's where everybody's at for Game of the Year stuff, but I'm curious to see how it shakes up, where it evolves from there, but it's fun to see. This could be an Infinite Wealth versus Balatro finale, which seems like a really fun pairing to argue.
It is so bizarre to have a game from January be like that never happens. Like by the time the end of the year rolls around, we have completely forgotten about anything that came out in January or February for that matter. Like it's cool to see that this one has staying power. It's still on my top, I have not put enough work into figuring out my actual rankings yet, but like my top cluster, it's very solidly there. So
yeah. Kyle, if you had to cover your eyes right now and predict, at the cost of having to eat your own butt on air, having to predict where Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is going to land on your top 10 list.
Oh, I don't think I need to close my eyes for this.
We're going to need to and eat your own butt.
I don't know. don't love the Link's Awakening remake.
Right.
Like it's good. It's Zelda. I'm gonna be happy about it, but I don't think it's gonna be like a Tears of the Kingdom. This is the new core Zelda blowout kind of thing. Obviously, I'm very excited for it, but I'm not going to make any assumptions about where it would go.
Okay. Yeah. So, despite being asked directly, you're not going to make any assumptions about where it's going to go. Yeah, come on, man.
I don't know. I probably I guess it's like an acknowledged bias that if I put it somewhere on my list, it's like, well, he loves Zelda, and it's going to end up on his list no matter what.
Just give me a number.
6.
Yep, correct. Okay, there we go.
All right.
Hey.
Lock it in.
Hold on, I do want to hear, because Jeffem gave us Balatro. I do want to know if he had any follow-ups, because he was kind of like, raising a kid or whatever for like half the year. So I don't know what he's been playing lately.
I've been trying to think about it. I guess my runner-up at this point is Dragon's Dogma 2.
Right.
Because I have really enjoyed that. But that is just, that's on the pile of those open world games where it's like, man, progress is so slow every time I play it. I would have to play just this game for the rest of the year for me to finish it. Not that that's ever stopped me from saying that I really like games.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's like this feels like an indie year for me. I've been playing a lot of different indie games and really enjoying indie games, and I just don't know what is on the radar unless that Star Wars game completely blows my pants off, which I would love if that happened. But I feel like that's like a 10%. That's like a shooting, down the Death Star. But I'm not Luke Skywalker.
Obi-Wan's just yelling at you to take off your headset to play Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah, it's a real shooting a womp rat situation. I can't talk about playing hours and hours of that game yet, Jeffem, but I can talk about it in the future. So listen to the MinnMax show in the future, and I'll tell you the chances of your pants being blown off, I think.
Perfect.
Hey, we're all blown away by Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. Kyle's been playing it. Kelsey's been playing it. Jeffem lived it. I've been playing this thing. This is the new Switch game that's all about speedrunning NES games. And Kelsey, didn't you say you pre-ordered the whole physical version of this thing? You were so excited for it?
Arrived yet, which is a bummer.
Oh.
So I have purchased this game twice, unfortunately, but I'll just resell the other copy. It's fine. I'm shocked at how much I am enjoying this. I understood that I would enjoy it from a historical little oddity, in just kind of a similar way that, not that this is done in the same way at all, but in a similar way to how I enjoy all the Digital Eclipse titles and stuff like that. I was like, this will be fun for me to mess around with, and I've been pleasantly surprised by how much I just genuinely enjoy it as a game and not as a fun little artifact.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, it's weird. I was thinking of Digital Eclipse as well with their documentary games and stuff, like making a Karateka, an Atari 50, because when it opens up and there's just kind of text in the beginning saying, yeah, back in the day, it's like lore dump, but except for real world history of, back in the day, Nintendo used to hold these world championships, but that was a while ago. Anyway, here's a game that's kind of like that. Because I was looking at that, craving, if Digital Eclipse had this, they'd have a whole montage of
yes.
old footage and actually give us the history of these old Nintendo tournaments. That seems so much better than just a wall of text and then choose an avatar and now you're moving into the game, which is just a bunch of NES games, the end.
I do really wish that they had a proper gallery. I'm not even expecting a full museum treatment. Just give me a gallery with some text about here's some photos from this and just some captions on the photos and I don't know, just copy paste the dang Wikipedia article or something in there. Just something to kind of give a little bit more context. But I appreciate that they really are trying to make this its own thing. And I think they've done it pretty well. I think all of the little challenges in there they're very satisfying and addictive to keep doing, except ice climbers. I hate ice climbers.
Oh my God. I am totally with you. Where I'm not enjoying this game much at all. But it's just like the idea of like, oh, you get to play. You didn't like Ice Climbers. Imagine you're playing Ice Climbers, but it's like a speedrun version of that. It's like, yeah, that's
Well,
not
just
fun.
don't play the Ice Climber levels. That's
Yeah,
what
but
I'm
when you're doing the kind of like the jumbled stuff and playing multiplayer, it kept like shuffling over to more Ice Climbers. Like, God damn it, it feels like garbage to play. But that's just one of the games.
My caveat is that I am just simply not engaging with most of the like truly competitive stuff. I did the elimination one where you start with 8 like ghost players or whatever, and then and I won 1 silver cup round of that, and I was like, that's good, that's my gamer cred for forever. I'm good. I can beat 7 people at 3 different things. That's fine. But yeah, so like the little challenges aren't grabbing you in any way.
Look, we don't need to dwell on that right now because we have Kyle who came in and you liked the game more than you thought.
I like it as much as I thought I would. I because we've talked about it before, perhaps controversially, Ben. I do agree with you that like these games like don't really hold up.
Right.
Like they're not very much fun to play in 2024.
Well, let's run down. So the games here: Balloon Fight, Donkey Kong, Excite Bike, Ice Climbers, Kid Icarus, Kirby's Adventure, Metroid, Mario 1 through 3, Mario Lost Levels, Legend of Zelda, and Zelda 2.
And they're not like the full games. It's just it's pieces of these games.
Right.
Yeah, like specifically I even asked I asked Nintendo to make sure like I don't like unlock the full game by like, S ranking everything or anything. They're like, no, it is purely these challenges. So like if you want an access to like a library of NES games, you need to subscribe to NES Online or whatever.
Sure.
But the thing that I do like about these games, Ben, with in my head that like I don't think they are very fun to play is like they give you as much as it is fun to play, which is sometimes like 3 seconds. Like you play them for exactly as long as they're
not fun games, but they barely make you play them. So here's $30, Nintendo.
Kind of, yeah. But then like the thing that I do like is like there are larger challenges. Kid Icarus is a good example. Like if you do the whole row of Kid Icarus ones, the final one is like, beat a full level or whatever.
Yep.
I would never do that on my own. So it was like an opportunity to just pull out a chunk of the game that I would just never have seen otherwise. And it like let me kind of appreciate the game in full by playing all the challenges without having to play the full game. Right? Like the last Zelda one is like beat 1 dungeon in like under 5 minutes or whatever. So you get to see a bunch of bosses, you get to see a bunch of the game. It's like a greatest hits version of an NES game, and it doesn't make you play for the longest challenge is like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so like I enjoyed that part of it, is that like you're out before you're getting too frustrated with it.
Yeah. And
when you fail or die, it does a really nice like just quick little rewind animation and puts you right back in it, and that's huge for me because it's just not that fun to like die over and over again in an NES game.
No.
But it makes it the least painful I have ever felt dying in an old game. So
yeah,
it's too simplistic to be like all NES games are bad. But I think Kyle, we try to just be a little more realistic. Like I still love some of these games.
Mario still feels pretty good. Like Mario 3 still feels good. I'm not saying they're just all like absolutely terrible, but like their fun level runs out quickly, but you don't play them very long. So it's like it ultimately kind of flattens out, and it's cool, and you get a good look at these old games.
Yeah, I was gunning right for Balloon Fight. I'm like, I'm gonna do every Balloon Fight challenge because I love that game so much, and that was kind of fun. Even that last one, it didn't really last that long. It's like, okay, do Balloon Trip and collect maybe 20 balloons or something like that. Where it's like, okay, that seems like a reasonable thing. But like, if you love NES games and you want to grind it out with speed runs, like the game is made for you. Like, it's just, if you want to really get precise about how much time does it take to collect one mushroom in Mario and just kind of do that again and again and again, here's a game for you. If you're that type of person, I just don't know how many people that is.
But when you describe it that way, that like, I would have zero interest in that, and I am pleasantly surprised with how much I like this. Although, again, maybe this is just the year of me liking things I don't normally like, so maybe I hit my head or something. But it's like, I do think that, like, I have no interest in speedrunning. I am not that great at video games, or at the very least, I'm not super precise, and things that require a ton of precision are, not normally my forte. But these are small enough chunks, and like restarting them is so seamless that it's kind of fun to be like, okay, I'm never going to be a real speedrunner, but what if I can speedrun just this 8 seconds of Kirby? Like, what if I'm just super good at this 8 seconds of Kirby? And like just shaving that off, it makes me kind of understand speedrunners better. And like, I'm like, okay, I can see how a person would like to do this for a whole level, but that's not me.
Right.
They feel like mini games because they're so small.
I mean, they're the micro games from the NES micro games from WarioWare. So
with 9-bit,
full game. But I did quite enjoy playing the local multiplayer mode with my 12-year-old.
Sure, yeah.
Who has zero nostalgia for any of this stuff, right? For her, it was more of just, and the way it's set up is like it lets you practice before you actually like commit to competing, and you can play really short. So like it was fun to play with her and be like, oh, this is what Kirby used to be, huh? Like this was Kirby. This is what he looked like, and it was like almost like educational for NES games. But they, like you said, you just play short enough that they're still fun even for a 12-year-old. So I actually thought the party mode was pretty fun, and I could see it being one that you might pull out when you have a bunch of people your age, who want to play a video game together. I think they could have fun if you have a group of people playing it.
Yeah, I mean, you make that 9-volt comparison with WarioWare and stuff. Like, I would take shuffled 9-volt levels in any WarioWare over this, and it makes me think a lot about like NES Remix too. I went back to look at those, like those were cool and creative, right? Like I got really geeky of like, oh, they packed in 28 NES games into NES Remix and like shuffled them all up and had different approaches to different games and stuff like that. And they're different. It's too easy a comparison that doesn't really hold up. It's like, this is going for speed runs in those games. NES Remix was, let's put a twist on these old games that you didn't quite expect and trying to experiment and experience them in some new way. But on the WarioWare front, like I was thinking about it too, because I saw some people belly aching online about the idea that still blows my mind, that there's no friend leaderboard for these speed runs. Jeffem, can you imagine this? Can you imagine this world?
It's Nintendo.
Where Nintendo
they made a game builder game where you can't share the games other than like directly by giving someone a code. Of course they'll do that. Yeah.
So you can be the best in the world and it'll tell you after a week. Is this right, Kyle? And you can be the best in the world like for the year that you were born. But there's no easy, just like, here's Mario 1 leaderboards for you and your friends. And I went back, because I'm like, am I losing my mind? I went back and played WarioWare Get It Together, which, by the way, still is fun, everybody. But that has like that challenge mode that's online, like the online cup. And even that has like leaderboards for you and your friends. So it's not like Nintendo's just anti-leaderboards here. It's just so confusing that this game wouldn't have that.
It's really weird. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but
that's an oversight.
But on the nice front, even for multiplayer, and even when you're playing by yourself, I love that they do a lot of like picture-in-picture stuff. That they have multiple frames. Like if you're playing with a group, you just get to see all of it on one screen, or even you get to see your fastest run right next to your new run going next to it. It's like just having a big jumble. Like, I don't know, here's a bunch of Zelda 2 on the screen at the same time. Have fun, everybody. It's a cool, funky kind of remixed look to this thing.
I will be over the moon for an SNES edition, honestly, because that is truly my generation. Like that's the sort of my entry point that I love. So if they do that, I would be really excited for that. Where this one, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a fun throwback, but it's not really. I'm not super nostalgic for these games.
Yeah. Would you take Nintendo World Championships Super Nintendo Edition over Super Nintendo Remix if they made a new one of those?
Oh, well, I don't know. I guess I would take Super Nintendo Remix because that seems like they'd be more willing to put lots of different things in there.
Yeah.
Like cover more games. So I think I would prefer that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my answer. Final answer.
Yeah. I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum. By all means, Kelsey, I like that you're into this. And there is something kind of satisfying about just grinding out milliseconds in these old games, that it does let everybody get their foot in the door there.
I mean, it's not game of the year or anything for me. I was just like, oh yeah, I like this more than just as a novelty. That's cool.
Yeah. And you can make a throne out of all the copies of it that you own at the end of the year. So it's pretty sweet. Yeah.
All 2 of them. A very tiny throne.
I mean, you can sit on anything these days. But yeah, Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. It is $30 out there for folks. Anything that we missed for this little thing?
What did you put as your little avatar guy?
Ooh. It was the balloon fight, like death sprite, which is pretty good. What'd you choose?
I've got the eyeball cloud guy from Kirby.
That's good. That's good. I did, Kyle. Do you remember what you chose?
I think it was Link from Zelda 2.
Cool. Cool choice. Great sprite. I do think it was fun, Jeff, from the beginning. It's like, what's your favorite NES game of all time? And you can look through, and this is some dorky fun history, but they had like every NES game ever released. And you can choose like if you want the Famicom or NES. And that is cool to just see like pages and pages of games that aren't included, but you get to at least see the name of all these kind of obscure NES games. So you get to be like, oh, I'm a Solstice man myself. So I had to throw that one on there.
I did the leaderboards, like everyone takes advantage of all those options of favorite games and like what kind of NES gamer you are.
Yeah.
And like I did like seeing, even though I don't know them because they're not my friends, I did like seeing everyone's like names that they chose and what they like I wasn't even born yet or something like that.
Right. You have a little catchphrase.
I forgot that I wanted to check to see if they had the unlicensed games in there.
Oh, that's a good question.
Do they have Tengen games in there and stuff, or is it just officially licensed?
And Tengen is like the Noah's Ark and all that stuff.
That's Color Dreams, but Tengen is but I mean same thing. It's like they're it's the unlicensed stuff that Nintendo did not, they're the weird colored carts and all of that. Tengen is the Atari trying to get around the NES copyright stuff. So, or licensing, I guess, not copyright.
Right.
It's the black carts that are kind of funky shaped. I don't know if that means anything to you.
Are any of the games memorable from Tengen?
Like RBI Baseball some of them ended up getting regular NES carts later, but it's like RBI Baseball, like Super Sprint, like I don't know, some Vindicator, is that one? Something
hey,
related.
Take your word for it. I can't imagine that. This seems like they would stomp that out quickly, knowing Nintendo, but who knows?
Definitely no Bubble Bath Babes. That's probably not on there.
Is it a Tengen joint?
Not Tengen, no. That one was I should know this off the top of my head. C&E. And that and Peekaboo Poker, NES
it's the classics.
Hot Slots.
Hot Slots.
The classic, yeah. These are unlicensed, like lightly pornographic games for the NES. So yes, I don't think those are on there, but I'd be curious if like the Tengen ones are.
Sure. I'm looking at screenshots, and not in a creepy way, of Bubble Bath Babes on NES. And it's just like some lady in a bikini saying, "Way to go, hotshot. Care to lather me up?" This is cool, sexy stuff in the 80s, apparently.
What if that was just the 14th like speed run?
Oh my God, you can only dream. Hey, Kelsey, not to be leaning into downer stuff, but new Denpa Men, the game that we all thought was going to be our game of the year. You played a little bit of this free-to-play weird game on Switch they just released?
Yes, I've played it for a couple of nights now, and I specify that because you have a timer for how long you're allowed to play before it starts charging you to recharge your stamina and play.
Sign of a good game.
The game itself, cute, like I thought it would be. The little Denpa Men are very cute. You go on little adventures and dungeons, and it's a very simple you can't really give them like specific commands. You can just kind of say like either everyone attack or like do a combo of your attacks and your like abilities, and they just kind of do it automatically. And I mean, the game is cute. The monsters are cute. This thing has got to be translated by like ChatGPT or something. It's machine translated as heck. There are just dozens of awkward and grammatical errors and stuff. It's enough to be distracting, I guess, is what I'm getting at. Like, I'm not really into Denpa Men for like the deep story, but I'm trying to remember if I took any screenshots or not to like.
I actually, excuse me, still don't know like what the basic game is. Like, it's like an RPG, or is it like an
kind of. So you start by like collecting some of these Denpa Men, which you just kind of can do whenever you want. They're floating around the radio tower. You have a little gyroscope thing in your Switch, and you just kind of collect them. And then the better ones and the stronger ones cost jewels, which are a microtransaction, yada, yada, yada. You go through these different like dungeons and stuff that all seem to be part of a larger story. I think about Denpa Men like turning into real people or something like that, but it's not very clear to me. But you have to find like a scroll first, and then I'm in a volcano right now trying to fix a hot spring, and you're just fighting a lot of monsters and stuff along the way. Difficulty ramps up like kind of quickly, and because you can't control them that much, it very much seems like a, either play this dungeon through a few times to grind, or, maybe you could just pay that $3 for some jewels for some rare Denpa Men. I found a screenshot from the very beginning. Don't tell me what to do, even though you can't do anything. You are such a naughty guy.
Okay. That's just the way Denpa Men talk. You don't know Denpa Men like we do, Kelsey. You have to be a man to understand the Denpa Men. Bro code.
Those little men themselves, adorable. Wonderful, fantastic. But it's certainly seeming like it's going to be a bit of a grind to get much out of it. I'm going to probably keep just throwing like 15 minutes into it every day to see if, as you throw some more time into it, if it just kind of gets better. But like usually these microtransaction-y games start out by giving you a ton of stuff up front at the beginning, so that then you are motivated to spend money later when that starts to dry up, and this is not doing that. So
all right,
a bummer.
Sorry, new Denpa Men. We were so hot on that trailer, but free to play on Switch. Tough market there. All right, Kyle, Kelsey, thank you for joining us. We could squeeze you out to make some room. Anything you want to proclaim before we kick you out of this here podcast?
Don't tell me what to do, even though you cannot do anything.
Yep. Smart.
Hey, get a load of this. Leo Vader's Prisoner essay.
Yeah.
So good. Freaking love that thing. Watch that.
Awesome. On his YouTube channel. All right. Thanks, guys. Clap at the same time. Appreciate it. Hey, Lee McLean. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
And the comfiest Leo I've ever seen in my damn life. Welcome to the show, Leo Vader.
Hi. Leo, stop bouncing around at your standing desk. Fam is eating good because I'm sick and I'm laying down to trick my body into thinking I'm asleep.
I hope your feet are up on 2 big cans of Campbell's soup, and that's all that's going on over there, as cozy as possible.
That's what I got the jug full of today.
Oh, smart. Hell yeah. All right. Welcome to the crew. You all came to save us indeed, because we're going to rapid fire through hot indies, the hottest around. We're talking about starting things out with a ranger, a role puzzling adventure.
Woo!
Y'all been playing this, or where are we at for this?
I played a couple hours.
Okay, nice. Jeff, where are you at with a ranger?
Several hours.
Several. So this is from a developer called Furniture and Mattress. Nick
You're not
Sutton.
going to ask Leo. Wow.
I just assume it's a couple hours.
Several. Thank you very much.
Several.
I'm the slacker.
Several.
On the latest season of Survivor, there was a contestant who argued that he's like, yeah, several means 7. That's why it has SEV in it. Of course it's 7. It means 7. It's like, no, it means like 2 or 3. Come on, bro.
Would hate to have that on television.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
You learning that?
And the worst part, Leo, is he was voted off Survivor early on, but then the rest of the season they kept making fun of him. Every time the number 7 came up, they're like, several. It's just so embarrassing watching that with your family. Like, oh, good. But hey, Furniture and Mattress, the name of this developer for a ranger, a role puzzling adventure. Nick Sutner is over there, who used to be at 1UP and has done a lot of writing and indie games since then. He's at PlayStation as well after that. But then also the artist who you might know from The Art of Braid worked on this thing as well. And a ranger, it's tile-based puzzles. You're a character on a shifty magical world that's kind of like a Rubik's Cube that you're rotating around as you're trying to get where you want to go. Is that the best way to describe it, Leo? It's a funky one.
It's one big sliding puzzle, yeah. And then it's different things get slid in different ways, and you're going through, Zelda-like dungeons that kind of have their one core mechanic.
Right. What do y'all think of it?
I'm enjoying it a lot.
I'm liking it too. I did not realize when I first watched trailers and stuff that like literally the entire game is a puzzle. Even like they'll be like, hey, go talk to this guy over, at the shack on the corner of town or whatever. And just getting there is like, okay, well, if I push this way, then I'm going to wrap around to the other side of this, and then I got to go up because there's this one block that doesn't move, so I got to like figure out. And then he gives you a can or whatever, and then you got to push the can back around with you, and it's like the whole game is just a lot of sliding puzzles. I guess I was expecting, you know, like Sokoban kind of, but it has a different feel to it.
Yeah, you're right. It seems like the formula would be, okay, it's a bunch of sliding puzzles, but you'll be running around and talking to people outside of that. But I think it's a cool design idea to be like, oh no, what if it's actually canonical in the world that this character can slide the world around, and then all the way the characters interact with them in town and stuff is if this is actually happening to the reality. Like it makes for a more interesting premise for the game. It's a smart idea.
Yeah, and like Jeff, I'm saying that's one example of what's interesting about it is the wrapping around, just something you take for granted in sliding puzzles. But as you're maneuvering these large environments, you're like, okay, I can run step by step across this whole thing, or just do opposites every time to wrap around one direction at a time, you know, and you can just zoom across this whole map like that. And also those things where you have to bring an object somewhere.
Yeah.
You spend so long doing it at first. It's so like unintuitive the way it blocks you, the way you have to get out of the way of it and line it up and plan ahead to kind of have it move with you. But then you get better and better at that over time. It becomes more intuitive. Like, I'm not going to try the most obvious thing because I know the secret way I have to do it, you know, just because of the way it's laid out. That was kind of why I was interested. I was like, I want to just get good at sliding puzzles and know that logic for other games that are going to ask me to do it going forward. And that's definitely happening so far. It's cool how you get faster at playing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, one of the coolest ideas for an opening tutorial, it's like right out of the gate, it's just
The little name.
yeah, showing you the name arranger, and then you have to use the slide puzzles to like put it in the correct order. And it's such a smart idea to kind of reconnect you and for the journey you're about to go on here.
So pretty too. Like
yeah.
it does look like it's reminiscent of the Braid art that, you know, because that artist worked on this, but it with its own take on it.
Yeah, it's top down, but there are these like bubbles almost surrounding the grids you're on that are just these beautiful hand-drawn portraits that are some piece of scenery from the room you're in or the environment. It's something I haven't seen a game go for before, and I don't know if it totally works, like if it totally places me in the environment versus just like is cool and novel, but I'm glad they went for it.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't pretty art in there.
I'm totally with you. Where it's like, I don't think the goal is to place you in that environment, but I think it's a really cool idea because, like, okay, how detailed can you make the environments if everything's slidey? You kind of need to be kind of a little bit of a floating platform, right, to make it clear where the puzzle space is. So then, how do you have anything else? And I think it's really cool. It almost feels like a comic book in some ways, of just having like a big patch of like, here's a stack of dishes over here, and here's this chair over here, and it's not going to be the correct size or anything. It's just a bunch of abstract drawings to kind of remind you of the space that you're kind of in.
For sure. And it'd be too much if the whole environment was moving too. You just wouldn't have time to like look at it at all. It has to be static behind it and have that make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Is anyone getting sick of sliding stuff? Because it's certainly a lot of slide puzzles.
Were you guys getting stumped a lot? Like, was that kind of the only? Because when you think about it, it's not really like the only real hindrance of this game is, are you bad at the puzzle mechanic? And that's like the boss of it, really. It's like, are you bad at figuring this out?
There were like 2 or 3 times where I was like, this must be a bug and it is broken because I can just not get past this rock. Like, and then, you know, like I eventually figured it out, although one time it still seemed like a weird ass bug of some kind that was going on because I kept coming in and out of a temple, and when I came out of the temple there was just a rock right there, and I had to like go back in. I had to go through the temple, dimensionally speaking, in order to get out the other side of it. It was very weird, but yeah, I'm glad that there aren't more. There has been one puzzle so far where it's like, hey, here's 15 squares and you have to make an actual picture out of them like a traditional slide puzzle.
Right.
And I was just flailing and was just like, whatever, just please get in the right spot eventually. But the rest of like the core puzzles have been really interesting, have been more varied than I was expecting. Like combat is just you slide a sword around on a space and have to make it touch enemies. And like, that's cool. And then I was making animals mate in the jungle by just like getting 2 pairs of animals next to each other. And you have to like figure out, okay, how am I going to get the gorilla through this big maze and get it to the other gorilla and stuff. And I have been, it's not something that I want to sit and play for 6 hours at a time, but going back to, for an hour at a time or whatever feels like the right pace for it.
It feels
And
like
that
a
helps
perfect
it-
mobile game. Something I play in bed for half an hour every night until I was done.
I mean, that's why
Totally.
Steam Deck, it's perfect.
That helps it not feel old, though, is that you're building the main skill set the entire time. It's not like you're learning to do something random. It's like you're constantly getting better at the main control scheme in a unique way. The skill ceiling on just getting around is really high.
Do y'all think, in the first town at least, the music is awesome, just kind of a subtle guitar soundtrack, and there is so much sliding on the fret. It sounds like Chrono Cross, something we dissected a lot. Do you think the sliding on the fret is an intentional thing to leave that in there because it's all about sliding in the game?
Oh, yeah. Good catch.
That's a very cool thing to notice.
Hey, thanks. We don't have to come up with these great ideas ourselves. That's the point of podcasting about games. You just get to point out like, hey, they came up with really clever ideas, and then we get the credit for pointing it out. That seems pretty sweet.
we all say how smart you are.
Oh, please, everyone sit down at home. I beg of thee.
I missed it, so you provided value to me.
Thank you. A Ranger, a role puzzling adventure is the name of this thing. It's just wild what like a streak puzzle games are on over the last couple of years. There's been so many great puzzle games. I don't know what's in the ether here, but like just this year we have Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Botany Manor, that Portal Revolution fan game, which is supposed to be great. And then last year's like Cocoon, Viewfinder, Talos Principle 2, Chance of Sonar. Like there's just so many great puzzle games out. It's kind of a cool renaissance. Animal Well, yeah, certainly. But that's a Ranger, a role puzzling adventure. There's another game. I was surprised by this. Haley, you said, my God, for the love of God and all that's holy, I need to talk about Ete.
I love it.
Okay, am I pronouncing that right? You're Canadian. You probably have a better stab at this. It's based in Montreal, right?
It means summer in French.
Oh, perfect. And Jeffum, have you been playing Ete as well?
I have as well.
Too, Jeffum. Okay.
Good.
Hey, please, everyone relax
Gotta
at
give it up.
home.
Gotta-
Please relax.
Could a video game do that, or only a podcast, my friend?
So what this has captured your imagination in a big way, Haley?
Oh, it's one of the most relaxing games I've ever played. I've put 13 hours into this thing because I'm not even doing the main quest. Like I am doing the main quest, but I'm just walking around and painting every single thing I can find. So like the mechanic of it is you're a person who's just moved to Montreal and you show up to your apartment, and the way that you paint, because you're an artist and you're putting paintings up in this local coffee shop to make money, is you have to go, and when you paint over something in the real overworld map, which everything's gray when you start out, it's really cool. Like you'll walk into a level and you can't see where you are because everything's just white, and it's not until you start putting paint down that everything becomes three-dimensional and you figure out like where you are and what's going on. So once you fully paint something like a bench or a bird or whatever, you'll get it as a stamp, and then you can go to your canvas and layer the stamps and like animate them. If it's a bird flapping its wings, you can choose what frame you want, layer all these different things on top and make a painting and then go and sell it, or you'll get commissions from local people around the town too.
What?
Yeah, and then it's like so the commissions are cute. It'll be like one guy was like, paint what death is. And I was like, whoa. And so I just like sat there and tried really hard for like 20 minutes to make like, what do I think death is? And there's some suggested prompts that you have to have in the painting. Like when I clicked suggestions, it was like a crow, a skull, plants, whatever, like to life and death, whatever. So you have to have a couple of those elements in to check the box and pass it into the dude.
Right.
But other than that, they're like, do whatever you want. And then he'll like hang it up near him. So the next time you walk by him, you're like, there's my painting I made. Like they'll place it in the world too.
That's my death.
Yeah.
That's my painting of death.
Yeah, the game has the problem that kind of all like camera-based games have, where it's like they can't really rate what you're doing. Like as long as you put in like the 3 objects or whatever, they're gonna say, oh, it's amazing. But like the core like mechanisms that they give you when you make the paintings is satisfying enough that like I too have been sitting there just like spending way more time trying to make interesting or funny or oftentimes lewd paintings that I can then just like give to people because they give you the tools. And it's like the stamps that you're unlocking, they call them stamps, but they're still like the complete 3D objects, so you can rotate them around and pose them however you want. And so it's like the best for like all of the, like screenshot modes and stuff that games have nowadays. Like it's the best version of, hey, create this picture out of these objects and different shapes and things that we give you that you can then make into something. And of course, everything has like the watercolor filter to it. So like I've just been having, and you like title each painting after you do it. And like you eventually get your own studio and you're going to put on an art exhibit. So it's like you need like 15 paintings or something. And I've spent like way more time instead of just like the exploration part. I probably spent more time just like in my apartment, just like painting these random stupid paintings. And then you go out and you paint other stuff and it's like, okay, cool. Now I have, these pictures and stuff. And I feel like they know what you're going to do with just like like I painted a picture for this, like this guy who runs a grill in like this little artistic commune. And they were giving me the objects after I did it. They gave me a hot dog in a bun. And I was like, okay, I can use that. But then they also just gave me a hot dog wiener as its own separate object. And it's like, come on, man. Like you know what I'm going to do with that. And you must be cool with it, I guess. So
it's a regular bubble bath babe situation for you, Jeffem.
It is.
Yeah, I get it.
It is. They know.
It's just like the way you started describing it, I was thinking like, oh, is it like Unfinished Swan then, of being in the white room and trying to paint around to see the environment? But then that's cool. They have so many extra layers to it beyond that. It seems like for a lot of games, the thrill is just, oh, you get to paint to see your surroundings. Like, no, that's just step one in this whole game.
It's really charming too. There's a lot of small little things about it that are fun. That are like, people are swearing and dropping the F-bomb and stuff. I was like, I didn't expect that from this very relaxing.
The tone is more mature than I expected.
Are they using Montreal swears?
No, I don't know any, so I don't know.
They're all like chalice and stuff. It's all like the Catholic Church-based swears apparently over there, which is very cool. It's very fun.
But yeah, there was one mission where the corner store guy wants to start selling weed. So he's like, can you make me a poster for out front to bring people in? So I like made up, that's like, I was like, whoa, what? I thought it would just be paint, flowers, but I have to make a weed poster for this corner store. And then it's hung up in the window every time I walk by. I'm like, there's my weed. Like,
what are like the necessary ingredients?
With a joint in his mouth.
Do they have like, you need to have this for a weed poster? 3 key ingredients for a weed poster are...
It's like you had to have a joint in it, or there's also a marijuana plant, which you could also use. Like as long as one of those 2 things was in it, it counts, and then you can do whatever you want. So I had a giant frog with a joint in his mouth, and then like a bunch of cool effects behind it. And I was like, yeah. Like, I don't know. It was just like very rewarding.
And Jeffrey's was just a pile of hot dogs. That was his weed poster, which I think was in poor taste. I didn't really understand it.
And the apartment feels really real. Like you can tell the developers have been in their 20s and moved into a random apartment, because normally when a game gives you an apartment, it's like 2 rooms and you're like, it's just like 2 square rooms. You're like, okay, but this one has a really weird layout. To when I was having that moment where I was like, where should I put my bed? Which is what happens when you get a weird apartment in your early 20s. You're like, but I want this to be the living room, so it'd be weird to put my bed in there. I guess I'll put it in here, but then it's near the front door. That's kind of weird. Like I was having those thoughts, and that feels very purposeful to, you're a 20-something and you just moved to Montreal and you're a painter. Like that felt very real and purposeful.
That's cool. I definitely want to check this out.
You do have, it has like the house flipper vibes of like you are also buying furnishings and setting them up in your apartment and your studio and stuff like that too.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. Ete. Help me out, Haley. How do I say it? It has like some accents over the E's, but if you just search ETE.
Santegu. It's an Santegu.
Okay, thank you. God bless you.
Just
Haley.
think ET extraterrestrial.
Right. And it's on Steam. It's exclusive to Steam as of right now.
I will say, doesn't run the greatest on Steam Deck.
Okay.
Like and I think it was the longer I was playing last night, the longer the load times were getting between zones.
Because you have more assets showing up. Yeah.
So I think I just had to shut it down and.
My only complaint was that like the load times were long on Steam Deck. On PC, it's totally fine.
Nice. Also, there's a game called Dungeons of Hinterberg. Who all has played the Hinterberg?
I'm hooked.
Oh, right on. Leo, what's standing out about this game for you?
I didn't know much about it going in. It just
Yeah,
looked
me neither.
cute. And it's like a cozy dungeon crawler, which I haven't necessarily seen before or haven't thought was compatible. It being so violent. But it is like, I don't know, it's expanding to me what the definition of a cozy game can be. In that it is fully a dungeon crawler with loot, with enemies, with combos, with magic attacks and stuff, but you're still building those social links, kind of like Persona,
Right.
with these slow slice of life conversations that are really interesting. I'm really loving the writing that feed back into giving you like new abilities or even like unlocking game mechanics from these social links. And the dungeons are really puzzle focused, and the combat hasn't felt too hard so far, so it is a very chill thing to go through.
Yeah, I was kind of not super interested when I had seen trailers for it, and I thought it looked a little jankier than I was interested in, and then Janet kind of convinced me to check it out. And I think I was instantly sold when they were like, oh yeah, you've gone on vacation to this town where there are a lot of dungeons, and there are 35 dungeons to go through. And it's like, it's interesting that they have like that they're very specific dungeons that are based on puzzles, and that they just have this like set of 35 dungeons, and as you go through them, you're like stamping them off in your little passport, and so like that aspect of it made it feel just a little more like doable and approachable and interesting. And then like every time combat starts, I kind of roll my eyes because I don't want to do the combat. But by the time that the combat, it's usually like a couple waves of enemies. By the time it's over, I'm always like, that was actually pretty cool. Like the combat is more satisfying than I expected it to be.
Even like early on when they introduced the spells, it's like, okay, this is going to be more interesting than just light attack, heavy attack. Like having spells where it's like, okay, you can have a huge bomb out there and choose when that detonates, or like a big grabber launcher thing. Like that adds a lot.
And the charm system, I think, adds a lot, but is intuitive and not hard to learn at all. That helps you have like, okay, if I do these abilities, it'll charge my magic more. And I can have things feed into each other. I can buff this weapon to be all about crit chance and crit damage. Like nothing much crazier than that, but enough to put your personality into it and feel like enough to have goals.
Yeah, it's just a cool fusion, of Zelda dungeons, but then Persona style stuff, like working through the calendar once you're outside of that and actually talking to people around the town. And like the premise for the game got me more than I thought it would, where the idea is like, I'm curious if they dive into this much as the story like unfolds, but it's the idea of her being like, oh, when I was a kid, everything seemed so magical and wonderful, and I would get lost in a cave and all this great stuff. And now I'm stuck as a junior at a law firm, Haley. Can you imagine such a horror? But she's like, but then there's this town called Hinterberg near Vienna, and all these magical dungeons just opened up, and there's no cell service and no internet there, and no one really understands what's going on. Let's go check it out. And so are they playing with that idea a little bit of like, is this a real phenomenon, or is it all just her imagination because she wants to reconnect with like the exploration vibes she had as a kid?
I think it's supposed to be real.
It's real.
But there was another line in there too that got me, where she was like, yeah, now I just work. I like work all week, and by the time the weekend comes, like I'm just so tired that I just don't want to do anything, and I'm just dreading the next work week. And it's like, wow, this is hitting harder than I expected. This feels like, like we are getting this wave of indie titles from like millennials and Gen Zers who are just like already burnt out on the work situation, and they're expressing that through indie games, which is really cool to see.
The setup is really interesting to me too, and it almost feels novelish in a way, like just the way they're digging in on little emotions, I guess, and going, I guess granular conversations. It's something about it feels unusual for a video game to me. Example being how interested they are in, this village was already a tourist trap, and suddenly all these dungeons appeared, and magic is suddenly real. And now people are coming here to explore it. And they're really asking the questions of like, she's reflecting on her job and her life to this point. And she's like, why would I do anything but this? Like what on the planet is more interesting than what's happening right here?
Right.
And that is how it would go. It feels realistic that just this fantastical setup plopped into the real world. What are the implications of that? And how would a real person process that?
But I bet there are places all around the world that exact thing is happening, where there's probably mountain climbers right now Some are in Asia, and they're like, why are people working their jobs when this is available? Why are they choosing not to do this right now, you know?
Totally.
So it's fun to
Money.
tie into it. Oh, money.
Oh,
that whole
money.
thing. Tricky. Yeah, so it's from Microbird Games. This is their first game as Microbird Games, but it's super solid, and it's on Game Pass too. If you wanted to check out Dungeons of Hinterberg, it was nice to see Microsoft get behind it in such a big way. They really were pushing it the last couple GDCs, I think, as well. As like one of the few games they had on their demo stations and stuff. But
That's the only place I played it was for a while at GDC. I got to talk to the main art director, and she was super cool.
oh, nice. Yeah, it has like a cell shaded look to the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the studio's in Austria as well, so it's fun for them to kind of be pulling from their neighborhood for showing these beautiful environments and the mountain towns and all that fun stuff. But yeah, that's it. Dungeons of Hinterberg. You think you guys are going to stick with it?
Definitely another great Steam Deck game.
Another
We
great
love the
Steam Deck game.
Don't
Won't
stop.
stop. Awesome. And Jeff, if you had to rank Arranger, Ete, and Dungeons of Hinterberg,
Jeffem is the triple threat who's played all three.
God bless
Great
you.
question. I have really been enjoying all three of them. I'm going to say Hinterberg, Ete, and then Arranger.
Wow.
And I feel bad already.
Bold. Bold.
yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Nice. I think you chose wisely. Hey, Haley and Leo, did you get a chance to check out Marvel Rivals?
Yes, we played it last
Did
night.
we get a chance to check out Marvel
Really
Rivals?
interesting. A little smirk. This is the third-person Overwatch like from NetEase. That's all with your favorite Marvel characters, and the smirk is because
It's fun.
oh,
It sucks.
all right. Now,
Love it.
It's funny, Haley, because you're such an Overwatch nut that I would think that you'd be like extra skeptical about all these other games that are trying to be like Overwatch, but maybe
Overwatch doesn't own. You know what I mean? Like that's as much as I love Overwatch, and I still am like, who's Pharah, who's Junkrat, with everything I do when I play this. We literally did it last week with Concord. I was like,
Right.
which one's Widow? Like I just need to do that. But no, this game's fun as hell, and I just need to like turn off the voice in my brain that's like, you play a game that's like this. I'm like, I do that all the time in every other genre brain. It's fine. Just let me play this genre of like first person shooter and just see what's up. I don't know. It sucks, but you have to like be consciously conscious of it with this genre for some reason.
I think it's because, they want your time so desperately. They want to be a living game and to have this be the daily grind for everybody. But it is funny how some genres, it's like, oh, sorry, we already have 2 MOBAs, can't have any more. And in other genres, it's like puzzle games. It's not like, well, we have 2 puzzle games, no other ones allowed in our family circle. But it is just that free-to-play aspect, I guess, or
Yeah.
kind of the living game aspect of this whole thing. Leo, you said, I don't like Spider-Man. I hate Iron Man.
Well, that's fine because you can kill Iron Man and he ragdolls out of the sky, and that's pretty
great.
good.
Okay, cool. Way to go.
You might
man.
like that. But Haley, being the Overwatch fan, her opinion holds more weight here for sure. For me, it's like all the things I don't like about Overwatch without the things I do like about Overwatch.
Okay, sure.
Which is the characters. I think Overwatch does a great job of having characters be quickly learnable and fun to play and intuitive to see, which is really hard to do. Drop into a 5v5, there's so many colored attacks getting thrown out. It's impossible in your first match to ever know what's going on, but you gradually pick up on it. I don't think I was picking up on it at the same rate as I did with Overwatch here in Marvel Rivals. And it's just the 5v5 team fights for everything. People throwing colored orbs at each other, shooting into health bars that remain completely full because
Our
healers
first
can
game
stay
was crazy.
so far behind
No one
the
died
line.
for like 20 minutes. We're like, what is happening? We walked out of spawn and shot them, and then no health went down for the whole game. We're like, what is this thing?
Feels like your router got unplugged. It's so ass. Back in my day, shooters used to be about people shooting one another. And now it's about throwing orbs into full health bars.
So I think this is where, Leo, I felt that when we were playing our first few games, and then I went to the hero lobby profile area, and because we were playing with Alex Van Aken, and he left to go do some stuff and was gone for like an hour and a half, and then he joined up to play with me again. I didn't play a single game in that hour and a half. All I did was watch the videos. And then once I did, and the hero profiles are really good actually, and it's like each character has their own little, like, here's their abilities, and every ability is listed on the left-hand side. You click on them. It has the written description, the icon, what buttons get pressed, and then a video of what happens when you do that. And then this game also has a lot of passives in the team up thing, which we can talk about in a sec, because that's pretty unique. But it also says, like, here's what happens if these two characters on the same team together and this happens, or here's what happens passively, or here's what you have to press a button to happen. And then at the very bottom, for every single character, it has suggested combos. So it lets you see, like, what's the best way to enter a team fight with these weird abilities. So it's like, if you're Venom, you should press E, right click, left click, and then spam hit, and then use your ult. Like, you know what I mean? And so I was like learning a lot from that. And I thought that was really beneficial. And only after I did that and put in an hour and a half, that's insane. That's like a whole Disney movie, you guys. It's like Peter Pan. Then I felt like I knew what was going on, and I started enjoying it exponentially more. But it is so hard to approach these games with that kind of commitment, because if you're not into it, you're like, bye. Like, if you don't want to watch an hour and a half of videos, or alternatively play 50 matches before you feel like you know what's going on naturally that way too, people will just give up and leave.
But it kind of helps too, like having the Marvel stuff, if you're at least a little bit aware of Marvel characters and stuff, compared to a game like Concord, where it's like, who does what? But at least with Marvel, you go in with some sense of like, I have a rough idea of who I want to start with because I love the Hulk.
Yeah, like that might make it so you stick around longer to try it out. But there were so many little, like, this game also has a lot of depths. Like, for instance, Groot can put up walls, and I'm like, seen it, May, like, lame, already seen it. But there's two different types of walls, and they each do different things if Groot is hitting someone near the wall. So he has wooden walls, and if you're hitting someone near a wooden wall, the walls reach out and also hit the character. And if then he has this iron wall, and if you hit someone near that, it gives you health over time. So then really good group players essentially box you in and put like a ceiling on it and just whack you, and then like 4 walls just hit you with branches also, and you're dead in half a second. Like, I encountered a group player like that, and I was like, Jesus Christ! Like, everyone else didn't know how to use group, but this guy did. And maybe it's just that we haven't seen people who know how to play Groot, you guys. Stupid sentence.
You know, that is something I started to figure out, though, as I went into those character profiles, is a lot of characters have, like, do this chain, set this up, pay it off with this other ability, and you get a health orb. Like, a lot of characters, not only are people just getting healed by strong healers, but they are creating their own health orbs, and people have their own engines to do that, and that's why it feels like you're fighting full health people the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did the third personness throw you off, Haley? You think it's a good call?
A little bit at first, but no, you kind of get used to it. I get it. Like, I wouldn't want to be Spider-Man in first person in this game. It would feel very weird. So it's almost like they built it around Spider-Man. Like, he's like the only one where that would feel gross. But yeah, no, you get used to it after a while.
Yeah, don't forget
Venom does have his one big swing. He does one big gross swing, but Spider-Man be zipping. He's the Genji. See, it's impossible not to do it.
You got to do it. You got to do it. I mean, are you going out of this thing for this is just a closed beta, by the way. They haven't announced an official release date yet for free-to-play Marvel Rivals, but like feeling more optimistic about it? Or is it just, this is a fun little diversion for a free-to-play thingy?
Yeah, what is it? Like, what is the thing that makes me keep playing these games? And I think it's a combo of, is it fun? Which I think this is fun. Like, I was learning and having fun and playing it. And will my friends play it with me? Right. Because it really comes down to, if my friends are playing it, I'll hop on. That's the underlying factor with why I still play Overwatch. Yeah.
And you're just poisoned because of the finals, and every game you play now, it's like, why am I not just playing the finals instead?
Essentially. I had a lot of fun playing with Haley and Alex Van Aken, and when it comes out, I'll play with other friends too, and it'll probably be fun, but I hate it so much. It's going to be the biggest game in the world. I hate it. It sucks. It's going to be the number 1 game on trending.
All right, there you go. Marvel Rivals, everybody. Pretty sweet, pretty sweet. Hey, Jeff Markiefava.
That's me.
Marka your calendars. Has anybody ever had like a good play in your name? Has anyone ever played with you?
No.
Like, did you get stuff in high school or middle school or anything? You must have been excited when like March would roll around, because you're like, it's my name. Like, if there's a month that was called Hanson something.
March.
Jeff, give him something.
Thank you, Leo.
It's disgusting, he mumbled very quietly.
Hey, that's right, everybody. Patreon. Patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. You go there, you find the tier that's right for you, and you can unlock a benefit. You find the tier that's sustainable for you, and that's what keeps this whole operation sustainable. Like we always say, people are dropping out every day. They listen to this podcast and they say, what am I doing supporting this type of independent games outlet? I am out of here. So if you want to jump in, we'd appreciate you taking a hot swap in there. Even at that $2 tier, find a tier that is workable for you, and then jump in the Discord, submit community questions. There's a ton of benefits even at that low end of the whole tier spectrum here. We had somebody write in a while ago and they're like, you should just explain what Patreon is, because it's kind of confusing for people, which I don't know if I really need to do that, so I will reject that notion, but it's just a site you can go to, and then the money there directly goes to support an entire independent outlet like MinnMax. So no funny business, no people in the way. So jump in there, patreon.com/MinnMax.
That person probably
Just the
wanted
most
to give
absurd.
money. Just didn't understand how. Like,
Someone said I should explain it, but I'm not going to.
What? How would you explain it better than that? I don't know what that means. Because I think specifically they were like, you keep mentioning tiers on Patreon. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But
If you don't know what Patreon
Sure,
is,
well,
you're
let's
probably
not tell
too dumb
'em.
to ever learn.
it's different financial amounts every month you can jump into. Hey, we should thank some of our bigger supporters. We say hey to our big supporters like I Am 8-Bit. They want everybody to know about a bunch of amazing vinyl soundtracks that they're reissuing. You can pre-order these reissues of great vinyl soundtracks from Annapurna
Not
Games.
Groot vinyl soundtracks.
Come on, everybody. Haley, down in
Settle
front.
down.
I'm confused.
I only know Groot.
You can get the vinyl soundtrack to Kentucky Route Zero, Sayonara Wild Hearts, What Remains of Edith Finch, Florence, Donut County. All these great soundtracks are being reissued from Annapurna, and they're available in I Am 8-Bit's wonderful online store. Haley, correct me if I'm wrong, even if I Am 8-Bit was not involved with us in any way, you still would have ordered these vinyl soundtracks?
Yeah, I've wanted the Florence one forever.
Well,
And then so I only played Sayonara at Wild Hearts like the last year, and I was like, oh, this music is the best music I've ever heard in my life.
oh, there we
So,
go. And it's even
I'd
better
do
on
that one too.
vinyl. It's just, Leo, just songs are warmer on vinyl, aren't they?
There's an intangible warmth
Yeah.
to a vinyl record.
I
That's
like to
true.
put my hands up to the spinning record and toast my little fingies on the warmth.
That's right. I'm 8-Bit's wonderful online store, everybody. You get 10% off of everything under $100 when you use the promo code SMOREGAMESPLEASE. Oh, speaking of s'mores and campfires, SMOREGAMESPLEASE for 10% off of everything under $100 from I'm 8-Bit's wonderful online store. Help support them. We think you should. Help support I'm 8-Bit because they support the MinnMax community in a huge way. They've been our longest running partners and they rule, so please keep them around. Go to their online store, use the promo code SMOREGAMESPLEASE, and help support them because they ship out a prize each and every week to whoever has the best person in the community, whoever submitted the best community question deemed by us, who are
What's the
experts.
prize this week, Ben?
I'm going to tell you, Haley, as long as you're sitting down, because this week the prize is the Sea of Stars exclusive edition from I'm 8-Bit. Last week it was the PS4 version. Trash, unusable. This is the PS5 version, which undoubtedly is cooler. No, but it's a super cool physical edition that's an I'm 8-Bit exclusive. So I think it's awesome that they're just shipping this out to somebody from the community. Whoever has the best question. Y'all ready for these?
We're gonna get copyright struck. You guys are doing too good.
You have to blow it at once. Channing Potatum writes in, thank you.
Nice.
They say, Ben, you always say it's gross to ask where a game will fall on a cohort's end of the year list. Do the other cohorts find that question too reductive or what?
Some people really hate when we're like, yeah, I could see it in that top 10 list. They're like, it's February, shut up.
Right.
People get really mad about it.
It is funny. I think mainly it comes out in like January and February after we just did our big game of the year debates. Then already it's like, yeah, but what's podcasting going to be like next December? It's like, just enjoy the moment, eh? But personally, I do think it helps. Like I like having some quantifiable way, even if it's as dorky as like Jeff ranked those 3 indie games, just to have a sense of like, Haley, Ete is
That's
cool.
why you made me do it.
I did, yeah. It's for the good of the listeners. But like, Ete is cool, Haley, but I don't know if it's like, Ete, or if it's, yeah, it's a solid
It
little
is
thing.
for my brain.
It is.
I'm Ete.
Wow, okay.
Or is it
Where is it on your top 10 though?
You can't ask somebody
Like
that.
9 at least.
All right. So do we think that question is reductive? Do we think it's gross? Should I stop being ashamed to
Well,
asking
Jeff
it?
respected my opinion as soon as I said it was on my. He went, "Oh, all right, I'll shut up." Then. Like, it's like there's a certain finality to it. It's like, yeah, no. Not only do I like this, I'm gonna like it in December. It's like, whoa.
It's
That's
true.
crazy.
I like a Ranger. No chance it's going to be on my top 10. It's hard. Just from the conversation, it's hard to gather that sometimes.
Yeah.
I can love plenty of games that just won't be there in the top 10. But, does that matter even?
Right. Jeff,
Does that devalue them?
it's the same reason I like review scores. You could read the review, but I like something a little more concrete. It feels more scientific.
I don't like it when it's review scores because it feels like you should have done your job during the review to get across how you actually feel about it. When it comes to an individual's ranking, though, is what makes me okay with it. Because it's like, what's an 8 to me versus an 8 to you? What are the things that you appreciate more that is making an 8 versus what it is to you? And if you're the kind of person like Hanson who doesn't read it and just looks at the score, then you're being misled inherently. But if you're talking to me and you're asking me whether I like it more compared to these other games that I play and like, I think that does help you understand how much I enjoyed it.
Yep.
Ideally, I still would have explained that myself when I was talking about those games, but I feel that more as it adds to the conversation as opposed to it could potentially mislead you. No one is going to walk away from it thinking that I liked the game more than I liked this other game when I have clearly just told you that I liked it more or less.
Very clearly, yeah.
Very clear. Now, what score would you give that explanation?
Scientifically.
Yeah.
825.
Wow.
I like Haley's better.
It's going to be in my 210s, personally. Cathal,
Top 10 arguments.
Cathal O'Halloran writes in, says, question for Leo. Can he recite the Game Awards theme tune right now?
Da, 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 da.
Yeah. If you ever see Leo on the street, ask him. He can do this little party trick whenever you want. He will have the
I know
Game
the
Awards
lyrics too.
God, I wish Keeley had lyrics written out for that. Kind of like how there technically are lyrics to the original Star Trek theme and stuff. It's like I hope
the Smash Bros theme.
Right.
Smash Bros Ultimate.
Jemmy, sorry.
Fighting through. That's so funny to me.
Petulant flame. Yeah, what are they saying?
That wrong.
Jeremy Farbman, I want to hang out with the Farbman, says, when do you know it's time to break up with a live service game? When do you kick them to the curb?
It's just like a real breakup. It's like if they're too ingrained in your friend group, you might delay it for a bit.
Oh,
just like you might not stop playing a game if all your friends log on every night. You want to see your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
In
interesting.
a way, live service games make it easier though with dailies versus another game where it's like, I want to see through the story. I feel like I should. I'm in the habit of playing this. Live service games, I can really notice like, oh, I'm thinking about it, playing it tonight. I go, oh, I guess I need to get my dailies. And that thought is like, the only reason I'm going to do it is to get my dailies that I'm not looking forward to getting. That's like when I can cut it off,
Yeah. Do you guys have anything in your lives right now that is in that bubble of like, I do this all the time and I don't enjoy it. Why am I doing this?
It's all stuff I have to do, like showering and
You don't have to shower.
making my bed.
don't
Yeah, I
even make
do.
your
I'll
shower.
stink.
Oh.
What do you mean?
Oh,
Well, that's your problem.
that's a value for you. Okay.
They turned that around on you.
I have that a lot with like podcasts because I listen to so many podcasts. There's times where it's like, what am I doing listening to every episode of Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend? Like, it's funny. Conan's funny, but it's 40% ads and it's just becoming more and more of just kind of late night talk show, pre-prepared conversations. It's like, I could cut this out of my life. And it's so much better just to prune those types of things out. It's refreshing.
Yeah. When something's no longer serving you, set it free.
Marie Kondo, that crap.
That's right. Like
It's
your
no joy.
butler.
Get out of here.
Jeff, do you ever break up with live service games?
I don't think I've ever played one long enough to call it a breakup. I'll usually play one for like a week. It's the same like live service games or any other game. It's like once it's not fun anymore, I'm gonna move on.
we're kind of fun hunters here at MinnMax. I don't know if you've caught that vibe. It's kind of our main thing. Speaking of which, you guys want to hear a fun game I created the other day? And I was so proud of myself.
Can't wait to hunt it.
Yeah. I was thinking, would this work for New Show Plus? It might be a little bit tricky, but hear me out. Okay, you tell me if this is fun. You tell me if you take that shot if you're in the safari, Leo, the nature's hunting range.
Illegal safari.
But there's a Menards in the cities here in the Twin Cities. I assume a lot of Menards are like it. We have stores called Menards, Haley.
I was gonna say,
it's
what
like
is
a
Say big money.
Menard?
it's like a Home Depot. It's a bunch of home improvement stuff.
Menard à trois.
Exactly. But they're like really,
Not the joke we went for as kids, but very good.
Thank you.
Better.
but it's like huge. It's like multiple levels. You know these Menards, Jeff, that have like the slow ramp up for your carts and everything. And so I was there with my nephews and stuff. And there's kind of like a glass, kind of like a balcony where you can like overlook the whole store. And like the 2 levels of it, it's like the best view. And so it's like, okay, we're going to play like a Where's Waldo style thing. Like somebody's going to stand here, eyes closed. Everybody else has to run somewhere and hide in the store. And they can be anywhere in this huge store, but they need to be able to make eye contact technically with the person looking for them. And then they open their eyes, and it was so fun because you're scanning this huge like warehouse, like looking for just a little face coming around the edge of an aisle or something. It was a blast.
Did they
dude.
move, or was it like
No,
completely
I kept trying
static?
to argue. Nephews are like, it's better if you can move. I'm like, no, you can't move because then we're just playing hide and go seek in the store. This is like it needs to be stationary because it needs to be the fun thing of you need to be possible. Otherwise, it's going to be 2 hours of me trying to hunt you down in the store, you know?
Did they admit you were right about the balancing?
You know what? They never did. They never did, Leo, and it kind of bugged me.
Cringe nephews.
Yeah.
And how many
sounds
of your
really fun.
nephews got abducted while you
Just
were playing?
a couple.
Okay.
I forget how many you go in there with, but yeah. Let's see. Victor Pham. But Leo, what would you score that game without playing it? If I just wrote about that in a review and then you were scoring my review?
I would add it to my wish list. And if I had to score the review, I'd give it an 8.75.
Whoa! Path of the Goddess
Approach
level.
to a classic seek and find genre.
Yeah. Now, do you think that would work for New Show Plus, or is just seeing 2 pixels not going to work?
If we could do it pre-recorded with a 4K camera.
Okay, with a lot of zoom. Yeah, it does sound fun.
Is that cheating to
Even
use a
then.
zoom? I feel like you should just be using your naked eyeballs. Otherwise, you could just zoom in on every.
Yeah, come over.
Person.
Unclear. Victor Pham writes in, they say, why do you think Concord seemingly hasn't found an audience? They just had their betas. Give them a chance, everybody, right?
Were
The
they closed or
players
open?
were really bad. There was one closed, one open, and there was only 2,300 max concurrent players
In
for
the open? Really?
In the open. Yeah, which is like, whoa, that's way worse than I thought it was going to be.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
So why do you think it hasn't connected so far, Haley?
I don't know. I mean, like when you compare, like easy comparison to Marvel has its IP. You know, it's like you could just kind of like they did a good job, and I think they tried really hard with Marvel Rivals. It's not like they just put their characters on a Valorant skin and like they're shooting each other or whatever.
Right.
Like, they tried really hard, and the UI's flashy, and it's all there. Everything you want's there. But yeah, I just think like I'm gonna care more about Spider-Man in 10 seconds than. I don't remember any of their names, and I
Come
played
on.
Not a
that.
single one?
Well, I played it for 20 hours over the 2 betas. Like I
What?
was having fun. Yeah, I played a lot of time. I was having a great
Jesus.
time, and it's just like it's just hard to put energy into learning lore and things if all you're into is just like how it. Like I just thought the shooting was really punchy, and I was having fun in a sniper class for the first time in my life, so I wanted to keep playing it.
It's that classic case. We talked about it a little bit last week, but it's wild to hear podcasts talk about Concord, and by and large, people have the take of like, yeah, it's a well-made game and it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't stand a chance. And Haley, you're like, yeah, it's fun, and I put 20 hours into it over this beta, but you know, it's such an odd take from everybody. And I'm not
have
saying this
to-
game is destined for glory, but it's a pessimism out of the gate, which is shocking.
Pessimism out of the gate, and that's the thing. It's like I don't really know exactly where those people are coming from that are just immediately like, wah, sucks, like before even playing it for 1 minute. You know, it's just kind of sucks.
Is it pessimism though? If we can look at the open beta and say only 2,000 people played it, or is that just like, at that point, are you just assessing what is likely going to happen when it comes out?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like not saying that it sucks, but like saying that it's kind of doomed. Probably feels like That's what that number makes me worry, at least.
I mean,
And is it
doomed.
just because the market's poor for releasing a title like that unless you have really influential IP plastered onto it? Like, is it just they've tried their best. The game doesn't need to be tweaked that much. It's just not the time to release a game like that.
I don't know, and it's probably my own biases, but I feel like Overwatch wildly misled developers in terms of like how much people want hero shooters. It's like Overwatch was Overwatch. I played Overwatch and I enjoyed it when I played it. It doesn't make me want to go out and try and learn 10 new hero shooters every year that just aren't going to stick around and aren't like that is such a bigger ask, and it feels like game developers always like they don't take into account like you're the first one, like you got your foot in the ground and you're still doing it. So like so everyone else says, okay, yeah, let's be like Overwatch and let's get the success that Overwatch has. And it's like, no, everybody's still playing Overwatch. Why are they going to come play yours instead?
I think PlayStation still has many moves to make as far as it being a first party thing they can put in front of people.
Yeah. The
And
PS Plus
make it
move.
unavoidable learning about it on your PS5 homepage anytime you boot that up or whatever.
Right.
And just marketing in general, I think we have to wait for them to earnestly give it a big marketing push with the actual release before we can know for sure. But there's lots of reasons to not be optimistic about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call delayed release. Like I'm right now. I know it's supposed to come out next month,
that'd be
literally in
interesting.
August. I'm gonna call that they say we want to put this in the incubator for a bit longer and then push really hard to market it better, maybe in 6 months or something, and see if that helps. Just because I was so surprised by those numbers, how low they were.
Weird. Sure. We'll see. Sean Robbins writes in and says, why are dungeons such a prevalent thing in games?
Because they're dank and dark and you look around.
A nice.
They're a place we're comfortable seeing puzzles.
Yep. Also repeated textures, easier for the earlier history
Rocks.
of games, right? Like you can, it's a nice confined space. And so like, the early Apple II days and stuff, wizardry and whatnot, like you can just kind of go one square at a time. So you need an environment that would make sense for that. And then everybody grew up playing those. Then it kind of just filtered down.
When does a cave become a dungeon?
I'll show you. I think it needs like
You need at least one wooden torture device in there,
right
or shackles on the walls. That counts too.
shackles. It needs like
I feel
I don't know, like a cave network that's basically a dungeon.
That's a cave.
That's a cave. That's just a series of caves.
aren't all caves a network?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I guess there could be like a bear-style cave where you just walk in 2 feet and lay down and then walk back out. That's just the crappiest dungeon of all time. But is that still a dungeon?
Hey,
There's still a boss in there.
hey, I'm not trying to waste people's time, but do bears ever sleep in like cool caves that have like stalactites and like hot springs and stuff in them? Or they're like, oh, that's too ritzy for us bears. We're gonna stick in a crappy.
I'm sure
Haley
they
one.
do.
You think that'd be fun?
Salt
The
caves.
cool bears.
Yeah. Like bats. Do bats and bears live in the same environment ever? Like are bears
Probably
going into
not.
bat caves? I don't think they are.
I feel like bears want the cave to be very small because then no one can sneak up on them because they're hibernating in there forever, right? If they had a big open cave, they're gonna be like, oh, is there?
Yeah.
terrible
But if it's
sleep.
just the walls are against their back, they're like, just have to worry about the front.
What is up with
I feel like bears
hibernation?
would take whatever cave they can get.
Maybe at a certain point.
How picky are these bears?
Yeah, any cave in a storm. But like, do bears open their eyes when they're hibernating, or literally it's just sleeping for months and months and months?
No, hibernating is like we learned it wrong as
We
kids.
learned it wrong. They don't sleep the whole time. I thought they go to bed and they're
Right.
just
For 6
knocked
months.
out. Nope,
Yeah.
they
And
just
Z's-
like are chilling out.
They just
still
sleep
do stuff.
extra for months.
Oh,
They like
just
sleep,
Paul doesn't
they just
sleep.
Netflix.
They sleep the whole time.
or
Why
they're
would you
either
do
in
that?
school or on Angry Beavers. I don't know where we picked that up. But for some reason, we all took it as fact.
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's the reason, right? It's just kind of the heritage, and it fit well for early game design limitations,
Yeah.
technically, and all that stuff. Like,
It feels like discrete challenge area, and a lot of early games came from D&D. So it's like fantasy themed.
oh, of course, it's
Yeah.
half the name. So
Dungeon.
that's interesting. So then they got that from Lord of the Rings and stuff, Or I guess like there's
Like, where did Dungeons and Dragons get it?
Who invented
Whoa.
it?
They could have paired anything with dragons.
right.
They could have.
Is it?
There's lots of other D's.
I'd imagine. Are there a bunch of King Arthur stories about him going into dungeons and coming out? Eureka! I found the gold at the end. That type of stuff. Like, because like ancient myths,
Goblins
Is like a
gotta live
Minotaur's lair.
right? The labyrinth, like
Yeah.
labyrinths. They're kind of dungeony, I suppose.
Oh, apparently
But
the history is
they
kind of
could've
tied
called
to
them
prison.
Labyrinth and
Prisons,
Like middle-aged prisons were like dank little underground dungeons, and then I guess we
Yeah.
just sort of twisted that to be anything underground with rocks.
Yeah, Prisons and Dragons sounds like a terrible game. So I guess it makes sense. Yeah, I was looking around online about like what's the most real world dungeon out there? And there's a cool Reddit thread where they share a lot of pictures and stuff. Like the Paris catacombs are a big one with like the hallways of skulls. You know, you've probably seen that one around there. It just looks
yeah.
like completely out of wizardry. There's something called Derinkuyu in Turkey. That is just an entire underground city that apparently 20,000 people lived in back in the day with like the animals and everything. But the coolest is in Georgia, Europe, Georgia, there's something called Vardzia Cave Monastery. And it looks freaking awesome. It looks like absolutely something out of Elden Ring. Just like huge cliffside cave dungeon.
Ooh, cliffside.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
That's how I always build my houses in Minecraft. I go on the side of a cliff and have windows.
Yo, that's nice.
lit.
That's nice.
Cool.
Let's see. Bon John Bovey writes in, of course. They said, I've paired what I see as the 5 most prestigious studios from Japan and from the West. In each of these hypothetical matchups, which studio comes out on top for you?
Wow. This was put in the Slack for podcast questions, and it did not mention the xenophobic nature of it.
You know what? I kind of forgot about that part. So Nintendo EPD4, which is basically the Mario team, the 3D Mario team versus Rockstar. Who would you take?
I'm a Rockstar head.
I'd
take Rockstar.
go
I think
Nintendo.
I'd take Rockstar.
Wow. Okay. I'm standing up for Mario. I'm standing up for what's right. I'm not xenophobic like the rest of the all right. The Zelda team from Nintendo versus Naughty Dog.
Zelda.
Zelda.
I think I might go Naughty Dog. No, I guess Zelda. What am I doing? Yeah. What am I doing here? What a mistake I almost made. From Software versus Santa Monica Studio.
Santa Monica, I guess, just because I'm not a big FromSoft girly.
Yeah, I gotta go From. I gotta go it.
I guess Santa Monica.
Okay. Studio Zero, which is the name of the developer for Metaphor ReFantazio and Persona 5 versus Larian. Baldur's Gate 3, different originals into. I don't got a dog in this little puppy fight, but I'll go Studio Zero, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess Studio Zero.
Yeah, really stick it to Larian. Capcom Division 1, which is Resident Evil 4, the remake, Resident Evil 2, the remake, versus City Project Red.
Oh.
Mm.
Ooh.
Neither.
Mm.
Good one.
Good one.
Haley's shutting them both down.
You can't do that.
Says who?
I guess I'd go CD Projekt Red just for, I mean, the remake team at Capcom is amazing, but they're remaking it. They got 50% of the design sense ready to go, you know, they can whip out.
Maybe just for Witcher 3, I'll go CD Projekt Red.
Okay.
I think Capcom.
There we go. Take that to the bank, Bon John Bovey. Patrick G writes in, hello, what's a home improvement job you did that you can't live without or is totally worth the money and work?
This is such a dad-coded question.
Yep.
All y'all were like thumbing it up like crazy. So
Yeah,
it's like
we have a dad thumb emoji in Slack that we were using.
big bulbous fat thumb.
Yeah, for me, and my wife did this because she's a lot smarter and handier than I am, but installing like key code door locks. So you never have to worry about locking yourself out, and you never, if you're going for a walk, you don't need to have your keys on you, like just putting in that code. It wasn't that hard based on how quickly she turned it around. I mean, maybe she was really flying and she's secretly a Bob Vila. Is that his name? You don't know Bob Villa? Bob Villa? Haley?
You don't know him apparently either.
Well, hey, what home improvement you got, Jeffem?
I built a couch.
What?
I built a couch. I've built
Like
technically half a
IKEA
couch.
built a couch.
Is that just a pile of blankets?
No, I built my own. I designed it and built it.
Designed it?
What?
Designer.
What was this cheapness? Was there a design you didn't have in the world?
It was. I hate couches. I hate the way that they're made. They're all made with springs that are designed to wear out, guys. Speaking of dad conversations,
Whoa.
I don't know if you guys have realized this yet, but they're all like our couch is very old and it's super uncomfortable. And we finally went couch shopping and it was a terrible experience. And my wife and I both walked out just not liking any of the couches and thinking they were too expensive. And on the ride home, my wife was like, "Do you think you could build a couch?" I was like, "Yes, thank you for asking me because I've been thinking about this and not wanting to tell my wife that I would build a couch because it's an absurd thing to build."
It is.
But it's half built because it's a sectional, so it's 2 parts. I got half built before we had our kid, and my brother and I are working on the other half that is half built. So I'm just going to keep doing halves at a time, and it will technically never get done.
Yeah, it's the classic
But I think
mathematical conundrum.
it'll reach a mathematical limit. I think that's the term that
Yeah.
those things are called.
Can you
But-
share?
But it's very comfortable.
Yeah.
Such a dad thought to go, I could just build one of these.
I know, but I used we had two twin memory foam, like 12-inch memory foam twin size mattresses, and so I used that as the base because we've had them for years and they've never worn out, and they don't even have ass grooves or anything like that. And so I was like, why don't they make couches out of these? And so I made one, and it's very comfortable.
So you'll buy
Like
a
it a
new
lot.
couch. Is the answer? I want you to wear it out.
It is.
Yeah, can you send me a picture of
And
that couch?
It's also like I didn't want to buy a couch right before we added another kid, and he's like spit up like 5 times on it, and it's just a bed sheet around it, so you just pull it off and wash it and put it right back on, and
Nice.
Bada bang.
it's worked very well so far.
Leo, what do you got?
So.
What's your biggest home improvement tip?
Bidet.
Oh, hell
Sorry.
yeah, bidet. Does that count? If so, that's my answer too. Is that home improvement?
Good.
I think so. It's the ultimate home.
yes.
Definitely.
Yes, it is home improvement. I can tell
Bud
because when I go to a friend's house and they don't have one, their home sucks.
Oh, so true.
Leaving negative reviews on Google for their houses? It's in poor taste.
Yes.
Philly,
I'm a bidet guy. I'm going to bring it up constantly until everybody I know has one, until I stop arriving at places that don't have one.
Yeah, you need to do it.
Your ass is dirty. Sorry, I'm calling you out.
Did you did you get one that has like hot water going to it?
No. People
Hot
do, and
water?
that's great. Great, good for them. You can get a $30 one, install it in an hour,
Yep.
and it's great.
And it does it just draw the water from like the part that runs to the tank?
Yep, you just have to drain it and kind of interrupt that connection, and then just the water pressure handles it all automatically.
It actually pulls the piss and shit water up through it and splashes it back at your ass.
It's a fully renewable.
Yeah. From whence it came.
Wow. You're the lawyer, Haley. You're supposed to be the classy one.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Philly Eat Steak writes and says, missed joke opportunity here. Last episode when talking about which Scott Pilgrim character he was most like, Ben said Sean Evans instead of Chris Evans. Someone should have said, oh, the hot one. Yeah, we blew it, Philly. We blew it. I'm sorry. On several fronts, we blew it.
Nice.
But you had that A2 joke.
Yeah,
this
it's
week.
fine. I've made those
Ain't
jokes
nobody
before. It's
writing
not
in
new
this week.
territory. But can you imagine if one of the evil X's was Sean Evans? Leo, I think it'd go a little something like this.
Ramona, welcome to the show.
Yeah, he still got it. Neil McMahon writes it and says, remember the first time you played a first-person shooter with the dual stick? For me, it was on my PS2 in 2000 playing Time Splitters. Same here. I got it for my birthday and booted up for the life of me, hated the dual stick layout. Same here. My question is, will video games ever pivot away from using twin sticks in first-person shooter games? Maybe add a third stick one day?
Has anybody tried the right touchpad for aiming, like on the Steam controller and the Steam Deck? Like it's an option, but it also has
I've
a
never
thumbstick?
tried that. I've never trusted myself to be good with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I figure there are kids who know Fortnite on iPad way better than they know dual stick controller controls.
Yeah, that is the answer,
this
I guess. It's touch controls and get with the times, old man.
What
Or
if
it could
eye
be-
tracking got so good that you're just like, bring, just like staring at things and shooting them that way?
Yeah, that's something.
True. But also I wonder, thumbsticks plus gyro aiming. People really swear by that on the Steam Deck too.
On
Or
they have that
first
for Splatoon, and I absolutely hated it though.
But and yet people who stick with it say that's the only way to aim.
I do like it. Like
I haven't gone with it either.
in Zelda, I do like it for kind of fine tuning where an arrow's going. I think that's actually really helpful. Krauser05 says, "Hey, MinnMaxers, this week the Olympic Games start, and we know the Olympic theme goes." And I have a weird fascination with it. I don't do any sports, don't watch them, barely play any sporty video games too, but there's something about the Olympics where I just have to watch as much of it as possible. Do y'all have a weird obsession like the Olympics with me?
I love the show jumping in the Olympics because it's one of the only events where men and women compete together, and an animal's competing. What the hell? Why aren't we more excited? And giant animals in the Olympics. Imagine if there was gorilla golf or something. Everyone's like, whoa, but like horseback riding. It's like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, gorilla golf is a winter Olympic sport. Dumb question, Haley. Those horses, all male, all female?
No, there's mares,
All the time?
there's stallions, geldings, the whole shebang.
Really?
There's not like, race horses, like some of the best race horses in the world have been mares. So then like breeding can go crazy because it's not just like only the male horses are good. It's like, this mare has her own trophy cabinet. She's got something to bring to the table too.
Really? That's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that before, but you would think that it's like, well, obviously, Leo, I'm going to be pretty hip and progressive here. Obviously, the women horses are the best, but that's not the case. That's cool.
Wow.
Ally.
I feel like Leo
proud of
laying
you,
down
bro.
on a couch has shifted
Disgusting.
the mood of this entire podcast. It feels like we're all laying down emotionally.
I like how Jeff mumbles disgusting every time. He's saying a joke.
I got nothing else.
Yeah.
Just last night, guys, I was looking up on Reddit. How do you watch the Paris Olympics not on NBC? How do you watch like a foreign country's coverage? Because I always want to watch them, and I always get just totally livid at NBC's because they only show the American ones. They'll I think it was the last Winter Olympics. It was like America was in the finals for hockey, but it was like the free for all night for like women's figure skating, where it's like they don't even give medals anymore. Like they had given away all the medals, but they just do like a medley at the end, and they showed that instead of like the championship America versus Russia rematch finals. And it's always like they spend so much time like trying to hype up, like, create stories around the American athletes that I always end up rage quitting them. Yes, Leo? Do you have an answer?
I've got some to talk on Peacock's coverage as well, but please, I'm very interested to hear.
Oh, no, because everybody was saying go watch it on Peacock because apparently they have all the events, and most of them, I guess, are drawn from international feeds. But please tell me, because I haven't signed up yet. I want the skinny on whether that's the way to watch it.
It's fine. We love watching the Olympics in this household. It's got a lot of ads, or you can pay fully double the price for ad-free Peacock, which we have not done yet. But the thing that pisses us off is every clip is titled Johnny Johnson brings home the gold. It's like, say it's the final and let me
Jesus.
watch.
Oh, that sucks.
Why should it be spoiled every time for every event? Who wants that?
Ugh,
Yeah.
yuck.
That's terrible.
How's Canada doing?
See, and Kyle Silva in the comments just said CBC has great Olympic coverage. That's the other thing that all the people on Reddit were saying. They were saying get a VPN and watch CBC's
CBC is
coverage.
really good. Yeah.
Okay.
They bounce around to international. They don't just only look at Canada. Not a lot of ads. I don't think they spoil. It's the whole package.
Nice.
I'll look into that.
Yeah.
Remember the time that Bob Costas had pink eye, and he's like, "Well, I guess I gotta
Oh,
keep
God, that was
hosting the
just the-
Olympics."
fucking worst. They wouldn't send him home, and he got it in both eyes too. Eventually, on like day 3 or something, and he's still like, my eyes were watering every time they showed him. And it's still like, it's Bob Costas. He's got to do the Olympics.
Just put
no one else
sunglasses
can
on
do
him.
this.
Yeah. Not that there's anything
Jesus.
wrong with that. If you want to get pink eye, I think it's cool. Pate Rion says, I don't want that pink eye community coming after me, Leo. You know how it is out there.
What's Pate Rion?
Pate, sorry, Pate Rion here.
If you don't know it, Leo, you shouldn't. You're
Yeah.
too dumb to ever figure it out.
This-
Get it?
Respect.
if something fantastical happened to you, like seeing a UFO, aliens, or someone using superpowers, you don't hear about that one too often, do you?
I saw a dude shoot a flame ball.
Yeah. You think that'd be more common. Do you think you'd be able to convince your friends and family that it really happened? Even with the video, I think most people would assume you're crazy. Here comes Crazy Ben talking about aliens again, says Pate Rion. So if
I was thinking about this question, and I was thinking about like mediums and how they kind of did that. They like sorry, I'm very anti-medium. If you can't gather, they tricked. They're tricking people all over the place.
Yeah,
they're
right.
just saying, "Give me money, I'll talk to your dead dog." My dog couldn't talk before he died. What are you saying to him? What are you talking about? It's just crazy.
He's barking more.
He's crying and scratching the back door. He wants to get let out. He's a ghost.
Into hell.
Into hell. And I guess like I would try to tap into whatever cold reading spells they have to be like, oh, I actually can read your mind. I don't know.
wait, so if you hang on, am I following your logic really? If you saw a
Yeah, maybe I got a
UFO, you
little
would
lost.
tap into a medium's ability to convince people that it's real?
Yeah, like I don't know. That doesn't really tap, but maybe I'd just be really. I would charge them money to hear it, maybe, because then it seems more real. It's like, oh, well,
Okay,
I gotta pay her
Interesting.
for it.
If you write a book about it, it seems
Yeah.
more real.
So do
Remember
you think?
The Secret? That book, The Secret. It was on all the bookstores when we were like 10. It's like, what was in there? I wanted to buy it, but I
You
was
know,
only like
honestly, the
10.
craziest thing on page 20 of The Secret, they say, the secret is I saw some people use superpowers once.
Yeah, like maybe that was the secret. I bet
Right.
people believed that because it was in a book that I had to pay for.
Okay, no, but Haley, if you were abducted by an alien, like full door being kicked down middle of the night, silhouette of a gray alien
they don't kick
walking
the
into your
doors
room.
down.
No, this guy does, like Angerfoot style. And he drags you into the UFO. You fly around, no probing or anything gross, but they just like ask questions and do weird alien stuff. Then they drop you back off, and you had to sincerely convince your sister, the closest person to you in your life, I presume, that this happened. Could you do it?
And I can't dig my fingernails into their skin as they pull me away or
No
some
matter
DNA
how
or-
much you want to do it, you can't take your fingernails into their skin. No.
Dang it. I think I could potentially convince my sister because we always say swear on Coco's life, which is our childhood dog, and that means you cannot lie.
That's so good.
And we
that.
still do it now, even though she's died. So we still say like blank said this, and we'll say swear on Coco's life. It's like yup. And that's like the core of our relationship. Like if you ever lied while saying that, I don't think we'd ever like the other person would ever recover from that kind of betrayal.
Wow.
And Leo was just joking about Coco being in hell, and this is your most sacred bond, and you let him get away with that. Unbelievable.
Coco's running hell.
Wanting to go to hell.
Coco is Satan's pal, and she's sitting at the throne. And she's doing great. Don't worry about her.
Okay.
Playing with the 3-headed dog.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
her and Cerberus. Yeah.
so you think your sister would fully believe you after you said swear on Coco's life?
I'd
I
have
was
to be
abducted.
like super present in the moment
You
and be
could
like,
get her.
I'm not lying to you. Swear on Coco's life times 10 million Coco's lives.
Okay, here's the real test
an
though.
alien.
Would your sister then tell other people, or would she be like, I'm keeping this one to myself? Or would she be like, you guys, my sister was abducted by an alien? Like if she really believed you, she'd tell the world, right?
Emma and I have secrets on lockdown. Like we'll even like if we're on drives or something, it's like I'd only say this to you, like, but super
it's-
controversial take. Like we doing that kind of stuff all the time to weigh if it's like a messed up thing to think about or not.
Do you think she would believe you or believe that you believe that's what happened?
That's the thing. Maybe she'd be worried for my mental health and not actually think that happened.
I think that is more how it would go.
Yeah.
I feel like I can really picture how people would respond if I told them earnestly I'd been abducted by aliens, which is like, oh, wow. Politeness.
If that's all
please.
they're giving you, Leo,
I so much of people's trust in me, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hanson, if you got abducted by an alien, how often would you bring it up on the podcast?
I bring it up more than I
every
bring up my
time.
kid, I think.
That would knock not being on Twitter off.
I wouldn't even know. Are people talking about not being on Twitter these days? Because I'm not really on Twitter, so I don't really see that anymore. And it's totally the way to go, you guys. Bayleaf Moon writes in, good names this week. Good questions this week.
names.
They say, hey, fine voices that radiate from my headphones. We live in your phone.
Hi.
Hello, Bailey. Question.
Kill them.
Kill everyone.
Jesus.
So Bayleaf says, when you get addicted to a certain game or media, how far deep into the trenches do you get? Watching reviews, retrospectives, full-length movies on said entertainment seems common nowadays, but how outrageous do you get when you go down the rabbit hole of consuming post-media content?
Is like if I'm buying merch, I'm pretty in there.
That's the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Leo?
I don't feel like that deep. For me, it's just going back and reading discussions, usually Reddit threads from
Yep.
the time when it aired or came out.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really fun. I love when something hooks me like that, where I just want to see people discussing it, even if it's past the time when they would be.
Yep, it's super fun. Like I've been watching a lot of classic movies and stuff, and just digging out is anybody talking about this on Reddit, and just like finding those old Reddit threads from like 3 years ago where a couple people were talking about this. Like that's the best I can find, and because I do really want. And one time I pitched a web designer on this idea because I wanted to build this site, and I still think there's something out there like this that would work. And if it exists, please send me a link. But I want a site that's just like, after you've watched a movie or played a game or something, just give me one site where I can type in the name of that thing and it'll just show and rank the best kind of making ofs, the best discussions about this. Like, hey, there's a 2-hour podcast with the director for this movie. Don't forget that. Wikipedia has links to some of these things, but I want an upvoting system of just give me a dumpster of all of the behind the scenes and the best podcasts ever recorded about Midnight Run. Just give me as much supplementary content as possible.
You could have it divided between official stuff and fan created stuff too.
Yeah.
I would love to have that.
What would we call that app? What would that app be called?
Into the deep.
Extrees.
Extrees read all about it.
Yeah.
Great.
that's really
Extrees
good.
very good.
Extrees is damn good, Leo. That works. All right, let's get this site up and running, everybody.
We're doing it.
With Squarespace.
It's easier than ever. It's easier than ever to avoid advertising on MinnMax for this episode. Matthew Weatherly says, "G'day, MinnMax. I love this question. I don't care if no one else does. They say, with Switch 2's announcement not far away, no one's asking the most important question. What color scheme will they use to promote the new hardware?
This is a great question.
I love it. Are we going to return to slick whites like the Wii, or will they go crazy and colorful again?
I
we
will
have
say,
to
real quick sidebar, you've all lost your privilege to talk about the Switch 2. I know it's actually coming now. It doesn't
Right.
matter. We talk about it for too long. You cannot talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
It just wait until it comes out.
You've seen too
Sorry,
many
Leo.
YouTube headlines. Is this the
Yes.
Switch 2? Question mark?
Yes.
It's just,
People
it's-
make fake pictures and post them, so when you look it up, you think it's real for half a second. I hate those people.
yuck, people.
Poster people.
Yuck.
I think the new Switch, I think the color
Disgusting.
scheme. First, remember that they made the white Wii U? I feel like it was never
Yeah.
out there. It was the 8 gigabyte version that just only real dweebs bought. But I've never seen a white Wii U in the wild in all my years on planet Earth.
Remember the Queen had a gold Wii or something?
Right.
That was lit.
I heard it's what killed her,
R.I.P.
actually.
Yeah. They dropped it on her.
Yeah.
Great height.
I could see them going back to
gold Wii.
go for a white and black look, or for this thing instead of the gray of the Switch, But it would be cool if they got out there with a red Switch 2 or something.
What about a metallic-y gray? So it's still gray, but it has kind of a chrome energy to it. Then
Like
it's
the
kind of
original DS?
reminiscent. Oh yeah, then it's kind of call out to the DS and also the color scheme of the first Switch.
Yeah. Remember Kaylee, did you ever get that Canadian Wii where it was like a Canadian exclusive Wii and it was red and it like didn't have Wi-Fi or something crazy like that.
Why would they do that? Why would they change the color?
The exclusive Canadian Wii. Red
Wii
and no
Mini.
Wi-Fi.
I think
Wii
so.
Mini.
It's called the
Why
Wii
did-
Mini.
Yeah, the Wii Mini, and it's only in Canada. It was under $100, and that's Canadian, so that's like $2 for you guys. Yeah. Why did they only sell it here? That's weird.
Yeah, I also thought it was weird. It looks cool.
Yeah, I kind of like the look of it, actually. Like, that's probably what I would like if I wanted to get a Wii for my TV setup. I'd want
Yeah.
this little guy to just stick in a drawer.
Right.
Yeah.
You can do it.
You know what I'd love to see? Yellow Donkey Kong 64 cartridge yellow.
Ooh, yeah, be good. Ooh, they could bring back Spice Orange from the GameCube. That'd be nice too.
Spice orange
Spice Orange
for Dune 2.
That's right.
We should also think
GameCubes
about
must
what's going
flow.
to be like the launch game that's pushing it forward, because they might lean into like color schemes for that.
No, they've never
Metroid
done
Prime
that.
4.
Yeah, maybe
So
like
it'd be space colored.
a muted red with like yellow metallic again, more metallic.
That'd be interesting.
I'm really hot on the metallic. I really want that to happen.
Okay. Remember the
Metroid
gunmetal,
Green.
PS3 they released with Metal Gear Solid 4? I always thought that was the coolest
Whoa.
special editions, like gunmetal console.
What if GameCube colors,
More
like a nice
guns,
purple,
Yeah, purple would be
Like a-
nice.
like two different shades of purple?
I would love that. That'd be great.
What if they went like Famicom colors, just leaning into their history? I think that'd be really
I
cool.
could see that. It's like
Yeah.
a burnt red type of
Extra burnt, yeah, autumnal.
like burnt like a Cheez-It.
Yep. Joran writes in, that's what Miyamoto said back in the day. No, I'm burnt like a Cheez-It. Joran says,
Please.
hey, everybody, what's a cool new word you learned recently? I just learned the word petrichor, which is the smell in the air produced by rainfall. I love that word. It's kind of like dusty.
That's a great word.
Yeah. Petrichor, Petridge Farms.
It sounds too much like petrol, though, like
Yeah.
gas, which I don't like.
Wow. This is a real word. He's not lying. You guys got any new good words?
I signed up for a newsletter of word of the day thing on my email that's completely full of spam that's gone to the dogs. And I happened to glimpse one just the other day that was from this, where it was like word of the day crabwise, which apparently
Gamgee?
means to move, to like shuffle sideways. Something moves crabwise if it strafes to the side.
That
That
really
feels
good.
like a word that got used enough that they're like, fine. And then they put it in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
God forbid you say sideways.
Crabwise is how Shakespeare would put it.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta have words like that.
Doth runneth crabwise to mine heart.
They should have called that Alexander Payne movie Crabwise. I think it would have done better at the box office. Yeah.
Crabwising.
Instead of downsizing the Matt Damon movie.
Somebody please write an
Alexander Payne
essay on that exchange that just happened, because it was, we're not getting better than that, everybody. Joran wrote in, they just wrote about that. I was answering that question. Mine is, I'm reading this book about animal senses, and it's awesome. It's called An Immense World, and it's just about like, hey, you think you understand reality? You don't, son. Like every animal is experiencing reality so differently, and this is the reasons why and all this stuff. But there's a word for the sensory bubble that every entity is in, and that word is called Umwelt. Umwelt is your
Cool.
sensory bubble. Yeah, isn't that good?
What does that mean, though? A scent, like a
Like
snake
everything
has
you
a
can see or
different
hear
bubble?
in a moment, right? Everything you're smelling.
Yes, just everything your senses are detecting, but your Umwelt is completely different from like a hummingbird's Umwelt or a bee's Umwelt.
Oh,
you know, because they
'cause
just
different
experience
senses.
different, dimensions of senses. Bear Commando says, how did it take me this many years to realize Leo is behind the classic Buns on That Guy vine?
Iconic vine.
Congratulations.
Welcome to our
you.
Umwelt.
Nico,
Nice.
Leo, I was talking to a potential sponsor for future MinnMax stuff, and when I reached out to them, they responded immediately like, "Oh, you got Leo Vader on your team. I'm a huge fan." So congratulations to you.
Is that the buns on
Nice.
that guy?
It was
Is that how
basically
they
that
phrased it?
idea. Yeah.
It's too bad the product is Racist Guns Incorporated.
Use this racist gun to shave your nads. Nico writes in, they say, Nico just says Orby for New Show Plus. Gotta listen to Bonus Spot.
yeah.
Well, he'll be in the poll next week. You gotta listen to Bonus Spot to understand what the hell Orby is for New Show Plus, but we're bringing Orby back, everybody. Orby lives.
Could I play that with my sister? Because I think that would be iconic.
That does sound really
Oh
good,
my God,
actually.
please.
Yeah, that's probably the way it should go. Yep.
I'm gonna bring that up to her and be like, that might be a thing we do next week, and she's going to die laughing because we haven't talked about Orby in probably a decade. Also,
Perfect. Yeah, on the latest bonus pod, Haley and Leah were talking about their favorite local multiplayer games of all time. It was a fun episode. Big Mario Party debates, all that good stuff. I was upset listening to it. I was like, did none of you guys play Astro Duel 2? Did anybody get a code for that early this year?
I have it. I just have forgotten to play it with friends.
You had that opportunity, like the big friend get together. That was your one chance to enjoy it.
I know.
Oh, buddy.
But everybody was like, here's my favorite game. Let's play it. I couldn't be like, let's try this game that Ben Hansen likes.
Boom! Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Neil McMahon writes in, says, here's a game I call the synonym game. I will say a video game title is a synonym, and you have to guess the game. The number of words in the title will match the original title. You get how this works? Like, if I say Fate, the answer is...
Destiny.
Correct. There we go. All right, here we go. So synonyms for all these words in the video game title. First one to buzz in gets it.
Buzz or just scream out the answer?
Sure, scream out the answer. Whatever. We're sloppy with our trivia here. Scarlet Deceased Absolution.
Red Dead Redemption.
There we go. Cry of Obligation.
Medal of Honor?
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. Oh, this is interesting. Discharge Mark. Discharge Mark. Discharge, like you're discharged, is where they're going with this. Discharge Mark.
Ooh, this one's stumping us.
Here's a hint. We like Ike.
Firewatch.
Nope. We like Ike. Roy's our boy.
Oh, Smash Bros.
No. This one's hard. It's Fire Emblem, everybody.
What if your brother's name is Mark and you get...
I hadn't thought of it that way. That's true. Let's see. Local Wicked.
Resident
Evil.
There we go. And the classic, you got to do it. Aloy Cog Hard.
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid. Correctamundo. Thank you, Neil McMahon. All right, what do y'all like for question of the week?
That Aloy was tricky because all I could think about was Horizon.
I know. Got Aloy in your head. Once she's in your head, it never leaves.
You should have pronounced it Alloy. Right?
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense.
That's why the issue. All over
let's see.
I liked the one that was about where's this landing in your top 10.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I like taking those, established parts of the podcast and going, how do we really feel about this?
How do we feel about it,
I liked
everybody?
the one where we had to try to convince someone we saw superpower.
I like that one, too. That might be my favorite. There's also the Olympics. There's also digging into the media, color scheme for the Switch 2, which we never stop talking about. Jeff, it comes down to you, big boy.
Let's do the one that you guys just mentioned.
You forgot.
All right.
Come on, man. It's, let's see, the gross about talking about a game in our top 10. The UFO
No. I seriously meant the one that you guys just said, the superpower one.
Literally that one.
Linked
okay.
on superpowers. Yes.
Oh, great. All right, there we go. Patreon, you just won that prize from I'm8bit. They'll ship out Sea of Stars on PS5. Now it's time for something that we call Get a Load of This.
How's that theme song go, Leo?
Oh, over the other song. Interesting.
What would be the lyrics for that? Why don't you get a load of this?
Get a load of this thing.
Hey, get a load of this. We'll be talking about it more in the future, but I'm reading Jason Schreier's book on the history of Blizzard, which I don't think he'll mind me saying is good. It's fun. I've enjoyed all of Jason Schreier's book. But there's this factor that's in there that I had not thought about before, and it's kind of a nerdy deep cut. But Kerrigan in StarCraft, the Queen of Blades, as they call her, iconic Kerrigan, right? She was named Kerrigan because their main rivalry was Westwood's a Command and Conquer series, and the main character for Red Alert, her name was Tanya. And so they said, oh, Tanya Harding. So who's the natural enemy of Tanya Harding? It's Nancy Kerrigan. And so I named her after this figure skater, which I did not know before.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Haley.
Cool.
But Tanya very clearly won that.
I think
Right.
so. Didn't she attack her with a crowbar or
Tire
something?
iron?
Yeah, tire iron.
Tire
Classic.
iron.
Tire.
It all comes back to the Olympics. What can you do?
What can you do?
And they didn't even show it on NBC.
Uh-huh. Does anyone else want to yell out, get a load of this? Or
Get a load of this.
Don't.
Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead,
Damn
Jeff.
it. Hey, guys. Gladiator 2 is coming out soon, right?
Woo.
We're all excited. This isn't the old story, but I just learned about it. So now get a load of this. Apparently, Nick Cave wrote a script for Gladiator 2.
Nick Cave?
10 years? Yes.
Nick Dungeon.
The musician. Apparently Ridley Scott went to him or Russell Crowe. Ridley Scott wanted to make a sequel. Russell Crowe asked Nick Cave to write the script, even though he, I guess, had only written one script at that point. And Nick Cave had questions because Russell Crowe's character dies at the end. And Russell Crowe said, just figure it out yourself. And so Nick Cave wrote a script and he described the plot, as this. He said, so the gladiator character goes down to purgatory and is sent down by the gods who are dying in heaven because there's this one god, there's this Christ character down on earth who is gaining popularity. And so the many gods are dying. So they send the gladiator back to kill Christ and his followers.
What?
I wanted to call it Christ Killer, and then in the end you find out the main guy was his son, so he has to kill his son, and he was tricked by the gods. He becomes this eternal warrior, and it ends with a 20-minute war scene which follows the gladiator through all the wars in history right up to Vietnam and all that sort of stuff. It was wild. It was a stone-cold masterpiece.
That sounds awesome.
That's nice to say about your movie that you wrote. It was a stone cold masterpiece.
Yeah. And so he sent it to Russell Crowe, and apparently Russell Crowe just wrote back and said, "Don't like it, mate." And that's where it died.
I'm not really into the
Iconic
Christ
response.
killing thing.
Yeah, but apparently you can. The entire script is online, so you can read
Wow.
Gladiator 2: Christ Killer was the title that he wanted to go with. I would have watched
wrote
that.
the whole script before he got the 3-word rejection.
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting.
Get a load of this.
I will.
Chapel Roan. Any Chapel Roan fans?
Woo!
Okay, you're straight. That's all right.
I don't know what
Chapel
this is.
Roan is the second coming of Lady Gaga, essentially. She's the best singer ever. I'm obsessed with her. Just learned she's a gamer, so that's insane.
Cool.
You're playing it very
No
cool.
reaction.
Yeah.
I know. You guys are playing it really cool. This is actually crazy huge news.
Did she
What does
say
she
that she
play?
played stuff?
She's currently playing Breath of the Wild. She has downloaded Tears of the Kingdom, but she wants to finish that first. But she's obviously busy becoming extremely famous in the span of like 6 months, which is fair enough.
Okay. That's cool. Hey.
I was in
You
Chapel
hated
Roan.
it. It's okay.
I just
I
don't
was in
know.
the Chapel Roan early 2023, Haley. So am I
Whoa.
straight now?
You're so straight now.
And it Chapel
Iconic.
Roan.
Chapel Roan. Yep. Best music.
All
Love
right,
her.
I'll check it out. Links below for all this fun stuff for her Breath of the Wild save. You can download it if you check the podcast description.
Oh no. Yeah. We're gonna get in so much trouble.
Get a load of this. Diet Mountain Dew's racist now. News just dropped today.
No.
My condolences to those affected.
No, that's huge news.
Get a load of this other thing. I was traveling on the day that the CrowdStrike crash happened. I had a flight that day
Oh wow.
and it got canceled, and we were out at the Airbnb. Like, luckily we had a friend's place to stay at, but we were scrambling that whole day. Rental cars were completely booked out. We were going to rent a car and drive a road trip from DC back to Minneapolis for 17 hours, but there was not a single car in the whole city. It was really crazy to be traveling during that. It felt like once in a lifetime thing. But to get a load of this, if this isn't common knowledge, is all of these airlines, their software's crashed because they're all using the same CrowdStrike thing on their Windows 10 platforms or whatever. All of these airlines except Southwest, which continued completely as normal all day. And the next day when I got my new flight, my flight got canceled, I had to buy a new one. It got delayed into the next day. Went to the weirdly dead airport. All the TVs were blue screened. Like
Weird.
the things that say flight at this gate or whatever, they said Windows needs to be repaired.
Oh my
Weird.
God.
It was
That's
really surreal.
apocalyptic.
Yeah, except going to the southwest corner of the, where it's all Southwest flights, literally would not guess that anything was going wrong. Everything working completely perfectly with all these Southwest planes coming and going. Because they're using Windows 3.1.
Wow.
Yes.
I love it.
Wow.
I love it.
Very strange.
Hey, get a load of this from the Discord. People in the MinnMax community share links every single day, every single 5 minutes, I'd say. There's a cool little news story popping up in there. Tan just shared this link to a tweet, and the tweet just says, "This is insane, and I have to share it. In the Jumper game for Xbox 360, there's a dynamic fatality the protagonist performs during combat where he teleports an enemy to the other side of the world into a nuclear blast zone, and it goes into an FMV out of nowhere and then back to gameplay." So it's just an FMV of this person being dropped off in a nuke.
Awesome.
We all remember Jumper on 360. There we go.
Based on the movie?
Yeah, you know it.
Wow.
I've been meaning to watch that for 20 years. Has anyone got around to it? Has anyone seen Jumper?
I think we started and didn't finish it, me and Maria, and our bar is pretty low for bad movies.
Okay,
So
all right, there it is. Well, hey, that's it for this episode of the MinnMax Show podcast. Thank you so much for watching, listening, sharing. Let's see, Trivia Tower. Michael Huber is hosting another Trivia Tower. The plan right now is for that to be next week. We'll let you know exactly what that day is soon. We had a last-second shake-up to some schedules here, to some scheduling difficulties, but it's going to be in the middle, more likely, of next week. So if you jump in and support MinnMax on Patreon at even that $2 tier, you can compete in game trivia and win some great prizes. We have codes for Dragon's Dogma 2. We have codes for a ton of other games, and I'm not filibustering. Oh, we have codes for Pacific Drive as well. Also
Amazing
codes,
game.
for Undermined. There's a ton of great codes that you can win by competing in game trivia and helping support independent games media at that same time. Also, remember we have the big community meetup happening in Asheville in early October 5th, but surprise twist, everybody. We're going to have another community meetup in the Chicago area happening August 17th. Because I'm going to be in town for the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth concert with some friends. Ronnie and Grant and I are going to go to that. And so if you're in the Chicago area, we'll be conveying the exact location and all that stuff. But if you're in Chicago and you want to come say hi real quick, or for a while, whatever you want, August 17th is going to be happening, and we'll communicate that location and exact time for you soon. But that's it for this episode of the podcast. Thanks so much. Anybody have anything they want to plug other than Leo's wonderful prisoner video that Kyle already kissed the butt of earlier?
Oh, good. Yes. That was a lot of work, and it's out now, and I'm really proud of it. Go check it out. And there's merch that is unrelated but came out at the same time on store.nebula.tv/Leo Vader. Great way to support me, and damn, it's good looking merch.
Damn! All right. Thanks so much for bearing with us, everybody. This was a long one, and you're welcome, or we apologize. All right. We'll be back next week, everybody. Be good. Oh, hey, don't be good. Don't be good or don't have fun. Deepest Dive, I should point out, in terms of plugs, Deepest Dive for Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, the grand finale of that discussion will be up on YouTube on Friday this week, and also in the bonus podcast feed on Friday. So thanks everybody for supporting that Deepest Dive. Shout out to Jacob for hosting it and everybody else for jumping in. Leo, wake up. We got to end the podcast. Leo, come on, wake up.
I need my rest.
No, just wake up and just say the words and the podcast will be over. Come on, Leo.
Be good.
No, we're stuck podcasting forever. All right, bye everybody.